All right. We are here at the Arena World Championship. We're 2 weeks late for it, but we are here. It's Cloud9 against Unitas Blue, and we have no idea what's going to happen in this series, right, Jay?
We have no idea what's going to happen. Everything's brand new to us. No idea. It's as if BlizzCon hasn't been played yet, but we can see Unitas Blue picking that Rogue Mage Paladin once again, and Cloud9, notoriously known, won the last 2 lands with that Mage Log Druid. So how do you think this one's going to go, Adrian?
Well, I mean, we've seen this matchup go both ways, the Rogue Mage against the Warlock and the Mage, but typically Cloud9, they're different to other Warlock and Mages, right? Like, no one else has really had the same level of success on this composition. We see Mighty Bash coming in early. Cubsy, one of the most aggressive Druids when he is playing this comp. But Aiden and Hasido, they're pretty high on the North American ladder, the team representing Latin America. So let's see if they can make some work done here on Chanimo.
We'll see that indeed. I mean, we've seen before that Rogue Mage Paladin has bested Cloud9, so will it happen today? Full Hammer of Justice on the Cubsy. They get the triple crowd control they want, but no Ring of Frost to land on the Cubsy. He's just going to leap out there. Chanimal's getting healed, but he gets sapped. Chanimal's going to be in quite a bit of trouble right now. Cubsy choosing to sit it because no blind been activated yet. Gets put into a half sheep. Chanimal dropping lower and lower. Probably uses the Health Stone there and the Mortal Coil to keep him a bit sustained. Now Cubsy eventually using that Trinket Iron Bark should be able to sustain Chanimals now.
Yeah, Aiden's taking a lot of damage right now. Has to use the Cloak of Shadows. That was a rake stun from Cubsy. Honestly, that was a pretty good trade for both sides. Unitas gets the Trinket. They get quite a few cooldowns from Cloud9, but equally, Cloud9 have burnt through so many on Unitas. That's going to be the ultimate sacrifice, the Avenging Wrath, the last lines of defense to keep Aiden in the fight. And of course, as soon as he runs out of cooldowns, he won't be able to stay aggressive on Chanimal, and that's really going to hurt the offense of Unitas.
Yeah, not having access to that Cloak of Shadows, he's definitely going to be in a vulnerable position. But he does have that Trinket. There comes the Sun from Cubsy, immediately getting put into that Bob right now so he can get out of trouble, but still getting chunked down by those massive Chaos Bolts coming out from Chanimals. Gets counterspelled right now as well from Huzito drones. They're trying to just diffuse their pressure right now, but it just looks so one-sided at this point. Chanimal's getting Chaos Ball after Chaos Ball, and Unitas Blue are under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, this is the scary thing. You leave Chanimals free, and he will just do so much damage. They tried one swap there to Wealthy Man, and you can see what it cost them. It cost them the Divine Shield, it cost them evasion, so many cooldowns from Unitas Blue as they fall further and further behind in the game. We've got the Infernals active right now. Chanimal getting sheeped up. They're just trying to shut him down as best as they possibly can, but really what they need to do is get Aiden back onto the Warlock, but he just doesn't have anything to work with. Trinket's down, Rake Stun comes in, probably going to die. Beautiful Dragon's Breath though, barely keeping him in the fight.
Oh, there's a half basher coming out as well, but that another Chaos Bolt lands. Once again, they were just unable to really shut down Chanimals. They're going to take a very quick game, in my opinion, of Cloud9 against Unitas Blue.
Yeah, easy 1-0 there for Cloud9. And wow, the teams have locked in their compositions incredibly quickly. Not what you normally expect, but I'll take it. So they're going to take it to the smaller map here in game 2. Obviously, Unitas lost their last game, meaning that they are the ones that select the map. And honestly, I feel like the smaller map should help them a little bit, but as you said, that last game was such a quick win. Cloud9 just seemed to outclass them a little bit in game 1.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need some strategy change, and thanks to technology, we're already into the second game very quickly right now. We already see an Iron Bark being forced out onto Chanimals, but that cooldown is relatively low, so you're going to have that available quite soon. And, you know, Unitas Blue, they need to try and just get a lot of pressure, but they also need to play the game later on, because they're never really going to get a kill onto Chanimals that quickly. So I think they need to play more patient. But at the same time, saying that, they catch Cubsy, kidney shots onto him. It gets hodged up as well, using that bark skin now to deter the situation. But Chanimals and Wealthy Man have got his back. He doesn't really drop below half HP, and they deterred that combustion from Hasido drones.
Yeah, really nice. I mean, I like this from the Rogue Mage. It's something that you see quite often, right? Like where the Rogue Mage is struggling or losing or whatever it is, just go for those kind of YOLO swaps almost to the healer, and they can be so deadly, especially if the Paladin to back up the Hammer of Justice, but they are dropping so low. Aiden uses Trinket, Shadow uses his Trinket and his Ultimate Sacrifice, so many counter cooldowns, and this is the thing with Cloud9, right? Like, if you leave Chanimal alone, he will just punish you so hard, both with crowd control, but also with damage, and now Shadow is taking an incredible amount of that as Cubsy, once again, is pushing in for the kill.
Yeah, they just forced so many defensive cooldowns there. That was the Divine Shield and Avenging Crusader now coming out from Shadow, and they're just so far behind. And like you said, Channon was just able to wreak havoc even before he used that Infernal to force the Trinket from Aiden. And now he's calling a stun again, doesn't have the evasion, dropping lower and lower, has to use that Cloak of Shadows to survive. And now he has absolutely nothing in order to live, so Aiden needs to be very careful against Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, his Battle Master's up as well. That Battle Master's going to fall. He vanishes out of the Chaos Bolt there, but the Battle Master, you can see it, it's got about 3 seconds left. Is he going to get the heals through? It looks like just about. Shadow's able to connect with the Divine Favor, get some heals, and stabilizes Rogue, but, I mean, the cost is dear, I would say. He's got Cloak of Shadows down. They have no defensives. The Paladin and the Rogue are both fantastic kill opportunities here for Cloud9, who still have every single defensive cooldown. This game has been dire for Unitas Blue.
Yeah, it's looking like a repeat of the Nagrand Arena where Cloud9 took a 3-minute lead. We'll see if it's going to happen again. Cubsy looking to get into that cat form. He loves to use that, and he uses it better than any other druid, in my opinion, right now, being able to stun and create kill opportunities for Wealthy Man and Channels. But right now, full kidney shot on the Channels once again, getting stunned by Cubsy, and the pressure is reversed onto Aiden right now. It gets put into a Mortal Coil. Shadow having a difficult time keeping him topped, but they're trying to reverse the pressure. Full blind onto Cubsy, instantly gets Trinket. I wonder if they'll look for an opportunity to swap onto him.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably what they want to be doing. Like, it's a small map, meaning that they can line of sight the Fears and Polymorphs quite easily when Cubsy's playing this aggressively. So looking for those kind of hard swaps to the Druid is exactly what I'd want to see. You can see that Vendetta is available for Aiden, so they could theoretically look for it, though right now they're just kind of being pinned down. They just don't have the defensive cooldowns to work with, seemingly. Avenging Crusader does come up for Shadow, though, so that's going to be significant. A lot of healing coming in from him right now, and a great opportunity, but Cubsy recognizes it. You can see he's off in the distance. He's not even in screen right now on the other side of the map. Small map, but it's still going to be a difficult distance to cross, especially for Hasido, as he gets caught up in all this crowd control.
Yeah, and they stun Aiden, forcing the Trinket once again. 5 seconds on that Cloak of Shadows, but a big heal comes from Shadow right now. And there's that Vendetta onto Cubsy, like you said, forcing out the Buckskin, but they've just been getting peeled by Chanimals with those fears. They're unable to get the pressure they really want. Still dropping Cubsy low, but it looks like he's gonna live because Aiden is the one in more trouble right now without that Cloak of Shadows, without that Vanish cooldown as well, and is in desperation to survive against Cloud9's pressure.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that makes Cloud9 so good on this composition. Like, a lot of mages would see a Vendetta swap to the Druid and be like, okay, I need to spam Sheep Aiden and all of that, but they recognize the situation perfectly. They forced all the defensives already, so they can just go for damage themselves. If Aiden stays in, he dies. He might just die anyways now. Ultimate sacrifice, well timed before the polymorph by Shadow, will be enough to keep him in the fight. That was a really good sacrifice by the Paladin here from Latin America, but still, there's no real offense. Now they can go for those Sheeps because they know damage isn't really directing. There's no defensive cooldowns left on Unitas, and Cubsy just consistently going for those re-stealths, going for those rake stuns, being an annoyance on that Restoration Druid as they do another big swap to the Paladin.
Yeah, huge swap force out of the wall, but I don't think it's going to be enough. He has no Divine Shield. Nice stun again from Cubsy, getting him super low on HP, and down he goes. Cubsy was just on fire with his cat form stuns right now, able to secure a win for Cloud9 in another quick game, Adrian.
Yeah, really, really nice stuff. So Cloud9 2-0 up in the series, and Unitas once again using that technology Joefernandes was talking about. I'm not too familiar with it, but it does seem to be working out well for us as we are dropping straight into game 3, and the composition has swapped here for Unitas Blue. Obviously the Rogue Mage wasn't working out too well, so they're going to swap over to that Shadow Priest Rogue, and we've actually seen this quite a few times through the summer season, that when the move played this composition into Cloud9, the games were incredibly close, but the move actually oftentimes came out on top with some incredibly deep dampening victories.
Yeah, I mean, the Shadow Priest Shaman is usually quite notoriously good into the Wizard Cleave Mare, I think it's fair to say, but at the same time, Cloud9's a different Wizard Cleave altogether, so they really need to be on top of their game, and I'm not sure how good Shadow X is on that Resto Shaman, but we know Hasido Jones has played that Shadow Priest for quite some time, so I'll be expecting some solid plays from him, but we'll just have to see how this plays out, because Cloud9, I mean, they've won the last 2 lands in World of Warcraft. They are on fire right now, and no one has been able to break down this MLD.
Yeah, it's been really, really difficult. I mean, as you said, they've won spring finals, they've won summer finals. This team really is the team to beat, and Unitas Blue is seeing why right now as the Cloak of Shadows is forced out early on. Hesido Jones, flexing his multi-classing, swaps from the Mage to the Shadow Priest as he is now in his Void form, trying to put out as much damage as possible. But I was talking to Vilai at BlizzCon, and he was saying the reason he doesn't like playing Shadow Priest into Cloud9 is because they're just so good with their interrupts. Every single spell lock, every single counter spell is going to be onto that Shadow School, making it so difficult for Hesido to get out his dots and get out his damage. So it's such an uphill battle.
Yeah, it is uphill. I mean, for Cloud9, it's just kind of a big snowball rolling down the hill. If they can just lock down Hesido Jones and force Aiden to kite, then they can just keep riding on offensive momentum. Cubsy, once again, playing in aggressive onto Shadow, forcing his trinket, but he gets coiled as well as using that Astral Shift to survive. Cubsy, it's just like they're playing 3 DPS right now into Unitas Blue, and they are struggling to survive, and that's been the name of the game so many times against Cloud9, and even just 2 minutes into the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely one-sided affair so far. And this is typically how the matchup goes, to be honest. There's no real opportunities for offense, I think, for the Shadow Priest Rogue for quite a while in this matchup until Deep Dampening. So they maybe could even play more defensively. Like, Aiden could come back. He doesn't have his Cloak of Shadows right now. He should be all right. And mana isn't really a huge issue for the Shamans normally. If you can keep your mana above like 60-70% as Dampening starts, that's when you kind of start struggling a little bit more. But it seems like Cloud9 just has their number. Aiden doesn't have his Cloak of Shadows. He's a full polymorph over onto Shadow. He's desperately trying to reconnect as a Fear. Does connect onto Cubsy, and Aiden does manage to sneak around the pillar to stay alive for now.
Yeah, but he gets stunned right now using that trinket, smoke bomb defensively as well to stop the chaos bots from channels. So good surviving, but like you said, if they're just using everything to survive and not surviving until Deep Dampening, it will all be for naught as Chanimals piles on the pressure with those chaos bots, and now they retreat. I feel like I would like to see this a bit more, just kind of stick around the pillar, make sure that they don't take too much damage so that they can get into those deep dampening situations in order to try and close out the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I think, what they need to do, and they are starting to a little bit now. Like, the thing is, the Shaman, the reason why the Shaman is a popular pick in this specific matchup is because they don't really lose mana until Dampening, and moreover, their healing is fantastic for kind of the early stages. Like, if anyone drops low, it just makes their healing even more efficient. And they also have the opportunity to purge and Dampening. So they're kind of line of sighting a little bit more now. You can see Kidney Shot onto Chanimal. He's playing the Relentless. He doesn't want to get locked down too much here. Has access to that Mortal Coil as well. Meanwhile, Cubsy, he's actually playing incredibly aggressively as always. And this is one of the reasons why this Mage Lock is so great at breaking down teams compared to others, I think. Like, initially, a lot of people were giving credit to Chanimal and Wealthy Man, and obviously they're fantastic. But I feel like Cubsy is definitely up there when it comes to best druids in the world. But now they're looking to try punish him with the Vendetta.
Yeah, there's that Kidney Shot Vendetta right again. Cubsy answering with the Bark Skin, and the peels coming in from Channels and Wealthy Man. They're just unable to break any dent in Cubsy's armor right now. And Aiden is the one that once again has to use that Cloak of Shadows in order to survive. And every time he doesn't have that cooldown, he's just going to be a liability to Unitas Blue. And they definitely don't want to lose this match point. And oh my goodness, he's dropping super low on HP. Full Fear on a Shadow. Can they chain this up? Looks like they're unable to, but Aiden's still very low on HP.
Yeah, Aiden's definitely struggling a little bit in this one. Dampening hasn't even started yet. The Urban Wall Totem comes down. Should be enough to keep him up for now. But Cubsy has no fear every single time. He doesn't even have the Bark Skin or the Trinket right now, so he has no defense, but he completely trusts his team to peel for him. There's no Cloak of Shadows, so Aiden can't really all in him. And he just knows it, and he just keeps going in, going for those re-stealths, going for those stuns. It's so annoying for Unitas to deal with. Those stuns could land on anyone. We are now approaching Dampening, which gets closer, I suppose, to Unitas's win condition, but they're still a long way off. They still need another 5 to 10 minutes in this game to burn down the Dampening meter high enough, and we've got Cubsy not struggling at all. He has 100% mana. He's even letting Wealthy Man drop low a little bit as he prioritizes damage once again to keep his team aggressive.
Yeah, Cloud9's aggression have just been absolutely perfect against Unitas Blue, just shutting them down, forcing them to stay at this pillar and forcing cooldowns left, right, and center, as well as maintaining a mana lead. So Unitas Blue are going to need a miracle right now to win this game. Cubsy with the double stun onto Hesido Jones and Shadow as well right now, as they try and pile the pressure onto Aiden, who's in the middle of the map. Wealthy Man doing a ton of damage, as well as Chanimals. But Aiden will have that Cloak of Shadows soon. They are surviving surviving this game longer than the others, but still, a win condition for Unitas Blue just looks really far-fetched.
Yeah, it's a long way off still. I mean, they're still kind of playing around for it. Shadow Star has a decent amount of mana to work with. Those are kind of the upsides. We see another kidney shot over onto Cubsy. They're actually going to use the smoke bomb here to try to deny the peels, but there was a perfect Shadow Fury there from Chanimal preemptively. Of course, you can use that through the smoke bomb, so looks like that will keep Cubsy alive. He's still very low. That was a really good swap there from Unitas, but they committed the smoke bomb to the play. They did not commit the Vendetta. If they had Vendetta that, maybe they would have landed the kill, but now it's Aiden that's in trouble. The life swap, the Void Shift coming in from Hosito to keep him alive. But now, Joe, they do have a situation where Vendetta is available for Aiden. There's no Trinket, no Bark Skin. If Cubsy continues playing aggressively, maybe they could clinch out something here in this game.
Yeah, I feel like I spoke too soon when they just caught Cubsy out right now and were able to get him super low on HP. He has no Bark Skin right now, but the pressure is just mounting on the side of Cloud9. Everyone on Unitas Blue is half HP. The Spirit Link at this point won't really do much. Aiden getting super low on HP, has to use that Cloak of Shadows once again to survive, but he needs to get out of there. He has the Vanish to use if need be, as well as the Trinket though. But he just needs to really recover right now. Shadow having a difficult time keeping all of them top, and Cloud9 just kind of have them in this chokehold with this triangle formation of the Wizard Cleave.
Yeah, it's certainly not looking too great for Unitas Blue. Those health bars are not very high. The Spirit Link is available, but it will do essentially nothing at this point for the Latin American squad, who look inevitably to go down to the lower bracket if they do lose this game. Cloud9, once again, Cubsy is the target of choice. You can see he's starting to struggle a little bit more. We're at 16% healing reduction, but we need 30, 40, 50% before he's actually going to fall behind enough to the point that Unitas can win the game, and it doesn't look like we're getting that far. Hosito drops low, Spirit Link is traded, Dispersion is still available, but Aiden is going to be the main target, and he has nothing left.
He has absolutely nothing. Feint just being used right there, but now a double more core of channels can land a Chaos 4. I mean, he wouldn't even need the Chaos 4 at this point. Wealthy Man does enough damage to finish off Aiden and finish off Unitas Blue, sending them down into the lower round. Cloud9 take a very convincing 3-0.
Yep, easy games there for Cloud9. That was, of course, the first round. And bear in mind, guys, this is the opening week of BlizzCon. So we're pretending that we don't know the results, but we do know some of them. And yeah, that's why we're just hopping from game to game to game. So these games happened the week before BlizzCon or a few days before BlizzCon. And we're just kind of providing a cast to them now. But we are going to hop straight into our second series of this first round. Method Black, who we know actually do kind of well in this tournament in the end, playing against the Chinese team, Team Medicine.
Yeah, and Method Black picking that Death Knight Demon Hunter Resto Shaman, playing Frost as well. And I think this is their kind of hard counter pick into Frost Mage teams, or Mage teams in general, because they're able to just tunnel down mages, give them no mobility to work with, and are able to pile on a ton of pressure with that Frost Death Knight Demon Hunter combo. But we see here, Chad's getting put into quite a bit of crowd control, trinkets out of it in order to stabilize Raikou right now, uses that Aura Mastery to connect those healing surges, but Raiku's still pretty low on HP during this kidney shot. The triple blinding sleep though, beautiful peels coming out once again from Swapsy.
Yeah, this is one of those kind of oddball compositions. Method Black, they were so prepared for this BlizzCon. You know, you think about them with the Rogue Mage, you think about them with various mage compositions, to be honest, but bold blind pick here as they do lock in the Demon Hunter Death Knight. They think this is their counter to Rogue Mage. I remember they were talking about it a little bit at the summer finals, that they might not even mirror Rogue Mages. They think they can win this comp, but it's huge damage onto Raikou. These cooldowns come out way too late, and Team Medicine catching them off guard, and that is kind of disastrous. Spirit Link was available, the AMZ was way too late, and that was quite an error from Method Black.
I mean, yeah, because the only thing I can think of is that they didn't really expect the damage. The Vendetta didn't come till super late. There was no Dark Archangel, and, well, I think it was just the Icy Veins, but like you said, they should have used one of their cooldowns. They have a massive array of cooldowns available to them. They had the Darkness, the Blur, the Spirit Link, the Anti-Magic Zone, all of which could be used. And I mean, Team Medicine's Priest was already on half mana as well, but well played to them. That's quite a shock. I don't think anyone was expecting Team Medicine to take that first game.
Yeah, I mean, you and I know it very well, Joe, right? Like the Chinese Cups, there was some teams that were really, really
Yeah.
good there that didn't end up making it through just because of various like issues they had this time around. But Team Medicine is the representative. I don't think anyone was expecting too much of them, especially with the Discipline Priest not being particularly meta right now. But that is a huge first game win here against Method Black. And once again, they're going after Raikou, trying to expose a weakness in his Demon Hunter play as they look to go 2-up in the series.
Yeah, Method Black going to need to clean up that defensive gameplay in order for them to win. But if they do that, then they should be able to take down the Rogue Mage Priest with this composition. They know exactly how to deal with Rogue Mage. I mean, they're known for playing it themselves. Raikou and Waz have been a Rogue Mage force that have been dominant for such a long time. So they should know exactly what to expect and won't make those same mistakes again.
Yeah, and look at the synergy as well. Like, even using the Blinding Sheet as an opportunity to land those mana rifts. It's so clean from Method Black in terms of offense. They just need to clean it up a little bit defensively, as you said. Once again, kidney shots onto Raikou, rotate those defensive cooldowns. Chaz is running the Trinket, so he does have that as an emergency. You can use the Trinket Spirit Link, or obviously Swapsy has the Anti-Magic Zone, used it a little bit later. They even have Darkness. There's so many different answers that Method Black can provide to these kidney shots from Team Medicine, and already you can start to see the mana favoring Method Black. Already the Priest down to about half from those mana rifts from Raikou. If you can keep this up, they can go for it. It looks like they wanted to swap to Chaz there, double fear, but Chaz preemptively line of sighting. The orb isn't going to connect, and he's got the Earthen Wall, he's got the Ghost Wolf. It's a very clean play from Chaz there.
Yeah, that was extremely clean. He put that Earthen Wall knowing the Rogue was going to swap onto him and had great positioning so that he couldn't swap onto him during the double fear onto Raikou and Swapsy. And now forcing an Ice Block from Hen as well as loads of pressure onto Starshine. This is the Vendetta, but it's obviously not really doing much right now. The Anti-Magic Zone gets dropped for safety though, going to deflect some of that damage. And nice Grip Blinding Sea once again into the Mana Rift combos. I like these combos that we've seen them do in the summer finals as well, and pulling it here, the Grip into Blinding Sleep Mana Rifts, and as you can see, being very effective because 2 minutes in, the Discipline Priest is already oom.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're playing for. They're exposing that Discipline Priest. We know that it's not super popular in the meta. One of the biggest issues is the mana. Raikou actually, unfortunately, using diminishing returns on his stun there, and then also goes into the fear. So a couple of little mistakes there from Raikou, but it looks like they should be able to stay alive. That's a really good darkness just to ensure that it is the case. Chaz using his Ascents as well to top off his team, and now you can see the inevitable. The Priest is out of mana. Hen only has one Ice Block remaining. This Death Knight is Frost, meaning they can't really kite away too easily. Chaz is even contributing a little bit with his Azerite trades. They force out their second Ice Block, and Method Black, barring some sort of miracle, should be able to tie up with this game.
Yeah, this was looking very strong for Method Black, both defense and offense, and there it is, getting the kill on the Priest, who has completely no mana, around 2 minutes 30 in the game, so good that they swung him back in such a convincing way as well. You know, having to play a bit better defensively. And now, we're going to see a composition swap, Adrian.
Yeah, so Method Black, this is the map choice, of course, from Team Medicine. They just lost that last game. And on the largest map, they think, hey, you know, we're not going to lock in the Demon Hunter Death Knight. It would be a little bit harder for us to execute on our strategy. Instead, they're going over to that Mage Warlock Druid that we've seen be so potent for Cloud9. And we also know that Method Black put a lot of time into practicing this composition, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the smart things about Method Black. You know, if they know a composition that they struggle with, they actually go and play it themselves because they have such good multi-classing within their team now. And, you know, Swapsy's actually been a very good Warlock for a very long time. And Raikou and Chaz also known for playing these classes. So it's no wonder they picked up the MLD and know that it can be good into the Rogue Mage Priest, especially on a map such as Tolviren.
Yeah, and we already start to see some of those kind of individual plays. Vortex on the Shadow Step there from Chaz. Nice little ways of building up advantage. And I mean, I think for Team Medicine, for them to win this game, it has to be an all-in. You know, they have to get some kind of huge smoke bomb play onto Swapsy or something like that. He is running the Relentless, so there are opportunities there. One of the things I don't like is that Zhao Shao is running without the Dark Archangel, so
yeah,
they're going to lose a lot of that kind of burst offense potential. They may be going for a bit of a PvE game, but I feel like Tolvaron, Magelock Druid probably wins that.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. They're doing a big go onto Swapsy right now as well. Mind controlled Raikou, but the Iron Bark just gets answered from Chaz. And I have to agree with you. I feel like not playing with that Dark Archangel is going to hinder Team Medicine's performance because they need to win with that aggression. I don't think they're going to be able to out-mana Method Black's MLD, especially on this map where Chaz can kind of drink freely and get into safe situations whilst, Raikou has access to those ice blocks, and Swapsy's playing that destruction warlock. They're going to be a very tanky team, so I feel like it'll be hard for them to just kind of break them down. But we see Raikou dropping fairly low on HP, and Method Black kind of just holding them in that chokehold, that kind of triangle formation where they have either wizard standing at different sides of the pillar and just kind of AoE them down.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of pincer maneuver. We've seen it quite a few times from these compositions. And I mean, the thing is for Team Medicine, they are finding decent opportunities onto Swapsy. Like that first go was pretty solid. But they just don't have the Dark Archangel to back it up. I feel like losing offensive cooldowns is going to make them far less potent in offense. Team Medicine, though, once again, they're trying to get aggressive. This is the Vendetta. They're going for big damage here. Smoke Bomb isn't available since it was used on that first trade, but you can see the damage coming through. And Swapsy, really struggling to stay alive here, has to use his 3-minute Unending Resolve cooldown, and that will now not be up for the next Vendetta. So this is a huge win once again for Team Medicine. They also get the Trinket on the back end of that blind, but the counter pressure from Method Black is pretty surmountable here. The Cloak of Shadows is available for Starshine. He does have ways to get into this game, and I mean, Team Medicine, I've been pretty impressed with them so far this series.
Yeah, Team Medicine pulling off a very good offensive maneuver there. Getting a counterspell onto Chaz whilst dropping Swapsy extremely low on HP, forcing out that Unending Resolve as well as proccing that Safeguard. So like you said, the next Vendetta needs to try and be their kill onto Swapsy whilst he doesn't have the Safeguard proc or that Unending Resolve. They just need to try and force out the Iron Bug from Chaz before the Vendetta comes back and then try and swing the match in their favor. Get a nice kill onto Swapsy, but it's going to be difficult on this map.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a tough task, especially against a team as good as Method Black, right? Like Chaz, Raikou, Swapsy, these guys have put so much time into this Magelog Druid. And I mean, to be fair, we've been critical, like you compare someone who's multi-classing like a bunch like Swapsy to someone that's playing just the Warlock like Chanimal, and you are going to make those comparisons. But every single time we see this team, they just get better and better at these compositions. Whenever they're struggling with something, they just put time and work into it, and that's why they have been such an impressive team. Now we see a Mighty Bash coming in. Once again, a beautiful Vortex from Chaz. He's on point with those Vortexes every single time. Now Starshine doesn't have the Cloak of Shadows, he doesn't have the Vanish, and mana is starting to surmount in favor of Method Black, as we can see them rotating through their cooldowns, holding their line, and starting to win this game.
Yeah, and that's the problem when all three of them go kind of push behind the pillar. Yes, they're going to survive the Infernal, but at the same time, as you can see, Chaz drinks from half mana to full. So they're going to lose that win conditioning with the passive pressure pretty easily. So they need to try and make something happen. At the same time, Hen dropping incredibly low on HP gets put into the counter spell as well. Swapsy just wreaking havoc with those Chaos Bolts. The Vendetta gets popped onto Swapsy, but Chaz has the Iron Bark to deal with it, and I'm afraid that they may have lost their kill opportunity with that Vendetta.
Yeah, that was really nicely done by Method Black. Firstly, Raikou, that counterspell, almost forcing Hen to use his Cold Snap before his Ice Block, which would have been devastation for Team Medicine, but then just great defense once again from the Mage Warlock, and you can see how close they are to winning game 3 here. They have the mana advantage. Starshine out of cooldowns, basically out of life in this one. Chaz, he did use his trinket there, but once again it was for the blind. Fair trade. Tolvar on Arena means that it's so difficult for the RMP to get over to that Restoration Druid and land a kill to punish that trinket. Counterspell does come through though. Hen looking for a last ditch attempt here onto Swapsy. Starshine with the pain suppression does have Cloak of Shadows available once again, so again they are able to kind of go for these counter pushes, but they just don't have the damage. Swapsy is sitting on 90% health off of that as the Cloak of Shadows is once again forced out.
Yeah, and Starshine uses that Cloak of Shadows. It's going to fade right now, and as soon as it fades, Swapsy blasts the Chaos Bolt on his face in that Versal's Vortex, and that's going to mean that Method Black take the swing match, win with that Magelog Druid on Tolvar on Arena. What a good pick from Method Black, and like you said, I feel like the thing that differentiates them from all the other teams is their ability to play so many different compositions now at such a high level.
Yeah, and that was one thing that struck me when I was watching these games the first time, is the amount of confidence. Because I mean, Method Black, let's be honest, like we talk about them as being the best Rogue Mage Druid in the world, but they didn't even blind pick it into this team. Like they probably could have played Rogue Mage Druid and won this series, but they have so much confidence in all of their compositions, right? And I mean, I remember, I think Aya asked, I don't remember which member it was, maybe it was Waz from Team Method Black, what is their best composition? And they honestly They say they don't know. They feel so confident on every single comp that they bring to these tournaments. You know, the Demon Hunter Death Knight, the Mage Warlock now, and I feel like that is kind of what you need in BFA. It's just having like confidence on all these different meta compositions, and Meta Black always so prepared. Interestingly enough, they are actually going for the Mage Warlock once again here, even though we're taken to a smaller map.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but I guess, you know, they kind of know it works maybe on whichever maps they really want to use it on, so we're going to see how it plays out. I mean, even if they lose this game, they will have that counter pick, which I'm sure they'll probably go back, resorting to the Demon Hunter Death Knight, but we'll see how this one plays out. I mean, we also know that Meta Black lost to Cloud9's MLD on this map, so maybe it's not too much of a comfort pick for Rogue Mage anyway.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, it is going to be a little bit different with the Priest version, but we can already see how confident Meta Black looks in this matchup. They dominated on Tolvaron Arena. They have a huge lead here already as Team Medicine looked for offense, but they just got shut down entirely by the entirety of Meta Black. Just so much damage. That was the Infernal push, though, from Swapsy, so he's not going to have that to peel. Coils are available if a big swap does come in, so that Infernal has now expired. I'd love to see Team Medicine. You can see their health isn't too bad. They have expended a little bit of mana, but they need to get some counter pressure going. They're going after Raikou. He's blinked in. They're going for the kidney shot. It doesn't look like they have quite enough damage as Raikou easily able to shimmer out of a bad situation and reverse the damage onto basically any member in line of sight from Team Medicine.
Yeah, that's what Meta Black are doing really well right now. As soon as the road comes out, they hit him, pressuring down, forcing him to just kite back, and then as soon as he does that, they just hit whatever they can. And right now I would like to see Team Medicine kind of pull that trigger. They've had their offensive cooldowns for a long time. The Icy Veins gets used now, Swapsy dropping a bit low. They have the Vendetta still, but Starshine needs to be careful. He has the Cloak of Shadows if need be to use, because Zhao right now is getting put into a ton of crowd control. The Rapture comes out to stabilize Starshine for now, but once again, Meta Black are just looking like they're on a different level right now.
Yeah, so of course these games are the first round of opening week right now, and we can see the damage coming through for Meta Black. Meta Black, we know, do quite well in this tournament in the end. There's the Vendetta coming through from Starshine, though, looking to maybe tie up the series, take us to a Game 5 if he can just get the damage on swaps. There was a nice premonition from Zhao getting out of the sheep there, but I'm just not sure it's going to be enough. Cloak Shadows has to come in. Starshine, they're looking for a big swap, the last kind of bastion of hope for them, this Druid swap, but it looks like Chaz with the preemptive bear form isn't even going to have to use the Bark Skin. A good triple fear, though, does keep Starshine in the fight. That was well positioned by Zhao Shao.
Yeah, and Chaz still not even using that Bark Skin right now against Team Medicine.
Oh.
But some nice defensive Ertugrul's Vortex. Oh my goodness, that Vortex was absolutely nuts. But Chaz does have to use that Bark Skin. He's not going to risk it. It dropped pretty low right there. Was tanking a bit too much damage, but at the same time, Starshine is super low on HP. Has to run with Zhao. Has to retreat, having no Cloak of Shadows, and needs to just pretty much live throughout. Now, Chaz also going to go for a drink. I mean, he's actually pretty level on mana, but I feel like Chaz can just kind of drink whenever, unless Team Medicine can ride on momentum.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really close call there for Chaz. I feel like he played that one a little bit too aggressively. He had complete confidence in his Vortex, of course, because he knew there was no Cloak of Shadows on Starshine, so he could probably rely on that play, but it was scary, right? Like, if that kidney shot had just about been in range and he hadn't got Vortex down, that could have been a 2-2 tied series, but ultimately Meta Black do survive. Mana for both teams pretty even. The Discipline Priest was actually able to sit down for a little bit of a drink there as Meta Black took a breather in this game. Dampening will be starting momentarily as once again those Infernals come crashing in for Swapsy. This is huge offense potential for the Destruction Warlock. The pain suppression is down, a lot of cooldowns down as well for Starshine as Meta Black may well have an opportunity to finish the game here. You can see those fears. If they get kicked, the Chaos Bolts will start to come crashing for Meta Black as they look to win this series.
Yeah, and Swapsy still has that Dark Soul as well, so he could do a ton of pressure. Starshine taking it right now. 10 seconds on the Cloak of Shadows, but I'm not sure he's going to live, and he doesn't. Raikou finishing him off with that Icy Nova as well, and Meta Black are going to take, once again, a convincing game. I like that Team Medicine kind of survived a bit longer, but at the same time, there was just no real great offense for them to really break down Meta Black, and we saw the same kind of come from Unitas Blue. The Rogue Mages were just unable to really break a chink in the MLD's armor. Yeah,
I mean, I had a lot of respect for Team Medicine in that series. Obviously, they were heavy underdogs. Meta Black in the end just kind of outclassing them. Obviously, having a ton of preparation and compositions at their disposal. But at the end of the day, it was a good showing from Team Medicine. They had chances in majority of the games, but Method Black just too good on the day. Now we're hopping into our third series here of this first round of opening week. It's going to be the Gosu crew going against Aztech, and one of the things I managed to avoid doing at BlizzCon was casting Thugonomics on that Guardian Druid, but it looks like we've kind of trapped ourselves into this one, Joe.
Yeah, now we both get the pleasure of casting Thugonomics on that Guardian Druid, playing with Chun-Li, though, a phenomenal Windwalker, arguably the best in the world, at least in my opinion, and Gorecki as well, another top-notch Rester Druid, insanely good at this class, and, this was their kind of composition into what I assume was going to be the Rogue Mage from Aztech, but instead they're playing that Rogue Shadowfish Druid. What do you think of this composition instead, Adrian?
So I've got to be honest, like when I saw this matchup the first time, I was thinking probably the Rogue Mage would be better, but talking to Aztech, they obviously had a really poor showing at the summer finals, right? Like they were hoping for better. They ended up losing both their series and coming in last place in that tournament. And I think they lost a lot of confidence in their Rogue Mage because of that, so they were really looking to lead with the Rogue Shadow Priest, and you can see why they have a lot of pressure here early on, Gorecki taking a lot of damage, but Thugonomics, one of the things he does so well on the Guardian Druid is as soon as he gets the opportunity to, he's going to be spam healing, and look at those regrowths coming in with the Restoration affinity here on that Guardian Druid, just keeping Gorecki in the fight.
Yeah, the Guardian Druids have a lot of self-healer and a lot of damage mitigation as well. If he's next to Gorecki, he can just kind of almost bodyguard some of that pressure onto him. But it's going to be difficult for Aztech to get pressure and probably going to be looking into dampening in order to get their wins. But at the same time, Chun-Li could also be vulnerable. They put a kidney shot onto him, into a full blind onto Gorecki. He has no trinket for this, but Chun-Li is a kite master on this Windwalker. He uses that fortified brew, may have to use more right now. He's not really in the best of spots. He's line of sight in Ville pretty well, though. Still has the touch of karma, though, if needed, and they really don't have anything to answer that.
Yeah, that was meant to be the all-in from Aztech there. They force Gorecki's trinket, then they go for the blind, the sap, the mind bomb, the mighty bash, every single crowd control you could possibly imagine, but godly on that Windwalker Monk, kites perfectly, perfect Fist of Fury timings, every single button always used so well in terms of defense for this Windwalker Monk, and because of that, they don't even force the touch of karma, and they're going to have to go back onto Gorecki. Looks like Gorecki is the weak point for them in this game. They're looking for kills on him. Thugonomics gets caught up in the Mind Bomb. Those Mind Bombs have been pretty good at countering this kind of stacking strategy from the Gosu crew, since of course it cleaves with crowd control for every single member, but ultimately, once again, Gorecki does survive. No Barkskin, no Trinket though. It's not over yet.
Yeah, no Barkskin, no Trinket. There could be an opening right now. He would either have to pre-Iron Bark, but he gets put into a kidney shot right now. Thugonomics there to protect him though with that Brambles effect. Going to be reducing a lot of the single target pressure, although he's still getting dropped very low, but a nice double stun coming out from Chun-Li onto Acrylos and Mimpoiki there. Going to negate that pressure onto Gorecki. He's going to stabilize pretty comfortably, and they're just able to kind of live these goes because Aztec aren't able to get out as much pressure as they need to. It feels like Gosu crew always has some form of crowd control onto Ville or Acrylo to kind of diffuse their pressure.
Yeah, there's so many little things, right? There's the stuns from Chun-Li, the interrupts, there's the disorienting roar, there's so many little CCs that they have to kind of go through. It's always enough to make them barely survive here. So Gorecki, once again, he's going to walk away from that situation using the regrowths, and now he can get aggressive once again. He's not topping himself off here, which could potentially be a problem as Acrylos looks to get close, but he wants to force that Cyclone onto Mimpoike. Another kidney shot comes through. Bear Form is preemptively activated, and the Bark Skin available if needed. So we see double stuns. Villi putting out a lot of damage right now. This is the Void Form. Bark Skin comes in a little bit late from Gorecki as he's now caught up in that mind control to deny any heals from Thugonomics.
Yeah, that was actually great play from Aztec right there. Getting that pressure on the Gorecki, forcing a panic Bark Skin, and then Ville mind controlling pretty low, but they're unable to get anything right now. They do force out the bash though, and they do have that window of no Bark Skin, but Gorecki does have his trinket back right now as well, so he could survive if it's a heavy go on him. We're going to see the Vendetta coming up very soon, so I think Aztec are going to look to try and pile on some pressure relatively soon. Yeah,
once again, good Ironbark though coming in to kind of shut down Aztec, and it's kind of like these teams reading each other. I think that's why the Gosu crew's playing this so well. Obviously the tank, as you've mentioned a number of times, reduces the damage and provides all that, but also the fact that Gorecki just knows inside and out, hey, the next kidney shot is coming up soon. All these things, like, it means he can get those preemptive Ironbarks, and when you combine that I think like the combination of the inherent tankiness of this composition plus just how well these guys know the game, that's when it becomes like this brick wall to break down. And in our first EU versus NA series here, it certainly feels like the Gosu crew is having the upper hand in the early stages, just because there's just no openings for Aztech, seemingly.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with you. It looks like it's a very difficult wall for Aztech to break down. And we even saw Ghost Crew just there get crowd control chains onto Mimpoike whilst they bursting down Acronol. But now we get a full sap onto Goreki. But with just the Shadow Priest on Chun-Li, he's going to be able to kind of out-heal that pressure. It's not going to be the same as Rogue Mage. But now we see Acronol using that Vendetta onto Goreki, trying to solo him right now, forcing out the Bark Skin. A nice half bash coming out from Mimpoike as well. But again, no pressure was really there from Ville. It was kind of split the entire time. Goreki's still getting very low, though, on HP as he tries to cross the map. And Ville getting that silence off as well. But he is going to live that silence and that Vendetta go. And it's still going to be difficult for Aztech to get a kill on the Gosu crew.
Yeah, that was a really, really nice push there, though, from Acrolos. You love to see how he just manipulates his crowd control in these games. He gets the Vendetta, almost kills Goreki, swaps over a Smoke Bomb onto Chun-Li, but once again, Gosu crew with excellent defense are able to stay in the fight. Mana is starting to even out a little bit. Goreki has spent a lot, and dampening starting to build up. So now we'll really see which team is going to benefit more from the dampening, the healing reduction in this game. We can see Goreki still struggling to top himself off, and if Goreki's goal is to get aggressive in this one, to get bashes and cyclones on Mimpoike, then I feel like he is the one that will struggle to do that more and more. He needs to spend his time healing. He needs to be very careful with his mana as dampening starts to build up. But Vilai, you can already start to see his health also is no longer topped off at 8% dampening. He's starting to struggle. Goreki with great line of sight, denying the Shadow Priest from getting any damage onto him really as once again he looks to push in. Actually a grip there coming in onto Acrolos from Vilai. I thought that Acrolos was going to chase after Goreki a little bit there, so maybe a miscommunication. Maybe they were looking for something onto Chun-Li. He uses the Fortifying Brew to respect it, as both teams still struggle to find that opening.
Yeah, both teams still struggle to find that opening, but that was a lot of pressure coming out from the Gosu crew, and it was due to the Anime of Life, which is the tank essence that Thugonomics is using. It actually does a ton of burst. It can crit from 50 to 60k easily and on both targets, and that caused a lot of disruption against Aztech, and Mimpoike have to spend a lot of mana and use that Iron Bark as well to stabilize both Ville and Acrolos. And now Acrolos actually has no trinket or evasion right now, so there could be a kill opportunity onto him if they get nice crowd control onto Mimpoike.
Yep, so that's kind of what they're looking for right now. Let's see if they can make it happen. I think for the Gosu crew, just kind of that their inevitable win condition must be kind of obvious, right? Like they've got they just keep doing damage. Mimpoike is going to struggle on mana. Goreki, because there's no mage on the other team, he can actually pretty easily just go for those kind of stun into clone combos, and unless Vilai has the silence, they don't really have a way of stopping it. So really like to see that from Goreki. He's been able to sit down for drinks. Chun-Li did use his Touch of Karma there, so maybe Aztech are going to go after him as a possible kill target. Honestly, this game I don't think is over for either side. We can see crowd control connecting onto Thugonomics right now as they go for another push onto Chun-Li.
Yeah, and that forces the Trinket Iron Bark from Goreki during that blind. Nice cycling from Poiki there on that Iron Bark. Going to deny Chun-Li from being topped off. And, you know, he's going to have that Fortified Brew soon, and he has to diffuse magic as well in order to survive. So Chun-Li could still survive quite well. Aztec are going to need to get a lot of pressure onto him if they want to kill him before he gets that Touch of Karma back. And now Kidney Shopper gets preemptively Fortified Brewed right now. Excellent plays once again coming out from Chun-Li. They're going to reverse the pressure on the Acrolos right now, stunning him up. Full Cyclone onto Mimpoike. That's going to force the life swap and dispersion from Ville. That kind of offense just backfired because Gosu crew completely reversed it onto them. And now Ville could just go down here, and he does. Excellent play coming out from Gosu crew, able to reverse the pressure and the offensive go from Aztec, do an offensive go themselves, and just force every single defensive cooldown and then kill Vilai anyway.
Yeah, I feel like that was super greedy there from Aztec. Like Mimpoike actually sat down for a drink at the start of that play. He was kind of investing in deep dampening, maybe relying too much on the dispersion and the void shift. Ultimately, the Gosu crew with a truckload of damage able to find the kill there. That game, I felt like that game was still kind of in the balance, right? Like they were forcing trinkets from Goreki, they forced the karma from Chun-Li, so definitely either side could have won it, but maybe a little bit of overestimation in terms of the defense from Aztec. It's hard to estimate these Guardian Druids though, because I mean, let's be honest, Thugbear's basically the only one you get to meet.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're just not sure what to really expect. And unless they've done their homework a lot on the Guardian Druids, then, they might not actually know exactly what to do. And kind of a bit weirded out by this swap, I would say, from Smexen on the Warrior from Chun-Li, because I felt like having the Windwalker was a very good choice, having a lot of self-defensive cooldowns. But maybe they feel that the Arms Warrior is more tanky in this situation, and they can get better passive pressure as well onto Shadow Priest. So maybe they think the Warriors a smarter pick.
Yeah, I'm also I was a little bit confused when I saw this at first because I feel like the Windwalker monk, maybe you're scared of Rogue Mage because you can die to that composition, but then when they lock in the Warrior blind to avoid Rogue Mage, Aztech didn't lock in the Rogue Mage either way. They stuck with the Shadow Priest, and I can say from playing against warriors like Joefernandes on the European ladder on my Shadow Priest that I really don't like playing into double melee as SP compared to what a Frost Mage can do. So Aztech, once again, sticking with that Shadow Priest, it kind of shows that they do have significantly more confidence in this comp, but I don't know if it would be better than the Rogue Mage.
Yeah, well, I feel like a Rogue Mage overall would be good into this, but like you said, if you lack confidence on that composition after it keeps failing you, then, you're going to try something different. And, Ville is notoriously well known on that Shadow Priest being able to take a lot of really good series on it. So I'm not surprised that they're going to stick with this instead of their Rogue Mage, just because of the nature of how it's been working out for them. And, once again, we're probably going to see this game go on for a bit. Both teams just kind of gonna deal a lot of passive pressure, especially with the Warrior now able to kind of just bleed up both Ville and Acrylos kind of 24/7 and have the reflect as well as a lot of disruption, which could be difficult for Aztec to kind of break.
Yeah, that's certainly true. I guess one of the advantages Aztec have in this game is that the Warrior's not going to provide the same off healing as Chun-Li did, so there's not going to be things like reverse harm. And reverse harm, I believe it also does significantly more when there's a Guardian Druid, right? Because the health pools are higher, so it means it's reversing more damage, essentially. We see Barkskin coming in onto Grecki once again here. Smexen does have a ton of utility tools of his own, so obviously he's going to make it hard. And you can look at the mana on Minpoike already. He's really struggling to deal with this Arms Warrior down to 50% already, and I think that's just the power of these compositions. The Shadow Priest and an Assassination Rogue don't really have the kiting to deal with the composition coming from the Gosu crew, meaning Minpoike does have to do a lot of healing. But on the flip side, Aztec once again doing a great job forcing out cooldowns, Barkskin, and Trinket down for Gorecki. They might look for another big swap on him.
Yeah, they could look for a big swap with him, and at the same time, Aztec seem to be just kind of tunneling down Smexen, which I think could be a good strategy since on this tournament round, there's no access to tank trinket, so Warriors are a lot less durable as they would be on the ladder. But now saying that, Ville getting chopped down by Smexen's Avatar Bladestone right now, and also destroying Acrylos in this bash. Gorecki with a nice lone Cyclone as well. They have a ton of pressure against Aztec right now. Nice Cyclone onto Minpoike. Cloned his Trinket as well. Ville getting super low on HP. Has to use that Fate and the Vampiric Embrace heals to survive. What an offensive maneuver coming out from the Gosu crew and from Gorecki.
Yeah, really, really nice stuff. They're looking to try reverse the pressure now a little bit though as the kidney shot comes in. Silence slightly overlapped as they force the Barkskin with this Vendetta. That was the big offensive push from Aztec, and as you say, the Gosu crew have looked fantastic offensively. Now we've got a full fear coming in onto Minpoike. He doesn't have his Trinket because of that last push. Stormbolt to follow it up. Do they have the damage? There's no dispersion available, but it doesn't look like they're quite going to be able to penetrate through the armor here as dampening hasn't quite started. Smoke bomb play from Acrylos, though Smexen honestly just kind of walks out of that one, so not really too much avail here for Aztec. They really wanted to force more there, maybe get an Iron Bark so they could go back to Gorecki.
I'm not gonna lie, I've not been a big fan of Acrylos smoke bombs usage over the years. I think it definitely needs to take a page out of Waz's books with those, because you really need to force big defensive cooldowns with that smoke bomb. It's a big offensive cooldown and a PvP talent to take. So getting nothing out of it is just really not good enough at this stage. And we're gonna see how costly it is in this game as Ville is getting chunked down. Gonna have that dispersion pack, but like you said, Adrian, Minpoike getting very low on mana, has to go for a drink, but it looks like he might be able to get it due to a nice bomb onto Gorecki.
Yeah, it's a very nice play there. Minpoike, he looks like he was sitting down for a little bit. Gorecki now able to deny, but that is going to be a full Cyclone once again. Game one, I feel like the drink from Minpoike might have cost them, so they need to be really, really careful about doing that twice in a row. Dispersion is available though, so Villi should be sitting pretty in this game. Small map here as another kidney shot comes in onto Smexin. And I mean, you said it earlier, Joe, they are kind of all-inning on the strategy of, hey, if we can just burn down Smexin, maybe we can win the game in dampening. But it seems way harder for them to stay alive versus the Arms Warrior than it was the Windwalker. Like, Acryloz's health has not been stable for such a long time. They force out the safeguard. This is another rake stun coming in from Gorecki, who is boldly playing that Feral Affinity despite going for that deep dampening win condition. Double Mind Bomb from Villi is trying to keep them in the fight. Preemptive Spell Reflection on the kidney shot. Very nicely done by Smexin. Now the Iron Bark should shut down this go once again, and the Gosu crew have just looked unstoppable so far in this series.
Yeah, they've been looking excellent. And like you said, Smexin on that Warrior bringing a ton of passive pressure both onto Villi and Acrylos. So they're tunneling him down, but at the cost of Mimpoike having to tax so much of his mana to allow them to live. But at the same time, they just forced to die by the sword right now onto Smexin with Croucher onto Gorecki. And Smexin is actually struggling to stay alive right now, looking to try and interrupt that Cyclone from Mimpoike. He's going to Blade Storm as well to allow Gorecki to keep him alive. And I would say, once again, it feels like the game can really go either way at this point, Adrian.
Yeah, it's certainly not over yet for either side. That's a nice little vortex from Gorecki on the life grip from Villi, keeping Mimpoike low. Mimpoike does really want to go for a drink here, and he knows that his team has defensives for him to do it. You can see Vanish is up for Acrylos. Villi has access to his cooldowns. I think if he does manage to get a good drink, then they will simply win this game. But right now, they're just not finding that opportunity. Gorecki dropping low. As you said, Smexin, his biggest defensive cooldown has been forced. So there's definitely good opportunities here for Aztech to find a kill. Good Cyclone there, low on Gorecki. Is going to cause him more work once he does come out of that. That was the Bark Skin as well, so his damage mitigation cooldown not really doing too much. But Villi dropping so low. Mimpoike was going for those Cyclones, not prioritizing the heals. They overlap the Iron Bark and the Greater Fade. This is huge trouble here for Aztech. Could well be the dispersion. They need to avoid those executes.
Yeah, they really do right now, but luckily they don't need to use that the dispersion right now. But at the same time, with this drink from Mimpoike, he's definitely going to need to. But this drink could help them win the game. I'm just afraid if it's going to be a repeat of Nagrad, if he's unable to top off Villi right now, this could be devastating. Saying that, though, he has the Void Shift if needed, but he should use that onto Mimpoike, and he does. Proccing his safeguard, but Mimpoike being out of position to really be a kill target for the Gosu crew. At the same time, though, tons of pressure on the Aztec right now, and I'm not sure if Mimpoike is going to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's enough mana ticks to be worth it. That's going to be such a dire situation, and Gorecki's just going crazy with the Feral Affinity, with the Cyclones. He's all over this game. There's no counter pressure here for Aztec. Look at the health bars on the Gosu crew. They have nothing to fear right now. It's just executing the game, executing the game here in game 2. The kidney shot comes through. They're looking for counter pressure on Gorecki, but he doesn't even trade the Bark Skin, and now he's back in cat form looking for that kill. Villi has no defensive cooldowns left. He's going to be the target most likely here as a full fear lands onto Mimpoike.
Yeah, nice fear from Smexin. A full fear onto Mimpoike and to Acrylos. Surely they're going to close out the game right now, but they're unable to. Nice crowd controls. Villi super low on HP. Surely an execute will finish him off, and there it is. He eventually gets finished, and once again, Aztec getting into that deeper dampening situations, but just unable to close out the game.
Yep, so that's going to be 2-0 on the board for Thugbear, the Guardian Druid, the only tank that we've really seen played at a competitive level. Of course, these are actually both the teams that basically fell flat on their face a little bit at the summer finals, both of them not winning a single series. And now it's Gosu Crew that is proving to be the better team. And Aztec is, because of that, going to swap out Fried Kitty onto the Mage. He's coming in place of Villi. And I am really happy to see this because I just felt like both those Shadow Priest Rogue games, they looked good at various points in the game, but it never looked like they were 100% going to land a kill. I just feel like the Rogue Mage is a more solid comp, and it's really good to see them bringing it out.
Yeah, I'm glad to see the Rogue Mage as well. I mean, being 2-0 down with the same composition against two, well, slightly different compositions from Gosu Crew, you know, they need to change something up, and the Shadow Priest isn't really doing any favors. I mean, he's unable to really get too much pressure because it's just going to be mitigated so well by these classes. And, you know, Fried Kitty on that Frost Mage is also going to be able to kite Smexin really well if Aztec played this game properly. So I think this is a good comp swap, but we'll have to see if they're able to pull it off.
Yep, so let's see. Fried Kitty, pressure on him here. 2-0 down, subbed in for Aztec in the first round. of this kind of opening week for BlizzCon. We can see Pummel's coming in already. And I mean, let's not pretend that Fried Kitty has an easy task in this game. He's still getting tunneled down by incredibly tanky melee. He's going to have to make distance, make it easy for Minpoike, but also land good crowd control and good damage. Already they're looking for a big swap here onto Greki. That's the kidney shot from Acroloz. Big damage from Fried Kitty and great crowd control from Minpoike, who actually solo crowd controls the DPS with a Hibernate onto Thugonomics and a Cyclone onto Smexen. So really nice stuff as they generate a lot of pressure in the early stages.
Yeah, they generate a ton of pressure with that Icy Veins and the Vendetta coming out as well, forcing Goreki to use both his skins already. So I like this aggression coming out from Aztech. And like I said, I feel like Minpoike has been playing this series really well today. I mean, the first game was a slight overdrink, though, on Nagran. But overall, he's able to get the crowd control that Aztech really need in order to try and get some win conditions.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice stuff, I think, from Aztech. Like, I really liked how they played the Shadow Priest Rogue, like swapping it around. I feel like all three members played it pretty well, but the matchup just didn't seem favorable, and they always ultimately ended up losing. Meanwhile, with the Rogue Mage, it's looking really good so far. Once again, a huge kidney shot onto Greki. He doesn't have access to the Bark skin just yet. Good crowd control coming in from Acroloz, uses the Vanish to off crowd control Thugonomics, and now that's a beautiful Cyclone there by Minpoike, pausing Thugonomics' health. If they can swap those Cyclones around onto Thugonomics, potentially Greki's going to be in a lot of trouble. Triple Cyclones coming in. Thugonomics now looking to help out his healer with some of his own healing. Looks like he should be able to do that as Greki once again survives the stun, survives the Cyclones, and stays in the fight.
Yeah, and magically he did that without even pressing his counter, his Bark skin even, or Iron Bug, but now the Iron Bug gets forced onto Smexen as they make a frozen orb go onto him, and Fried Kitty dropping a bit low on HP, but at the same time, I think Minpoike was looking for a drink there, goes for the Hibernate play onto Thugonomics, but he's not falling for that. Meanwhile, though, Fried Kitty actually sneaks in a sheep onto Goreki. Some nice plays coming out from Aztec there, using that Hibernate sheep combo into a full cyclone out to Goreki. They're chaining this crowd control very well, but they need the pressure onto Smexen to force his cooldown.
Yeah, this Druid Mage combo is actually pretty nice into the double Druid because they can just spam cast Hibernate and spam cast Sheep, and it makes it virtually impossible for the Druids to shift out of both of those. They can only shift out of one, but that is a huge turn of the tables there for the Gosu crew as they force Fried Kitty into his first immunity cooldown, that Ice Block. Now they're looking to reverse the pressure back in favor of Aztec here as another kidney shot comes in onto Goreki. And I mean, Goreki does have to play a really good game here. He's playing the Feral Affinity, meaning that he doesn't have access to the Frenzy regen or that 6% damage reduction from Guardian. So he has to play a good mix of defense and offense. And when he's separated from Thugonomics like this by that Frost Mage, it does become incredibly difficult for him to stay alive. And you can see that so much damage and no Bark skins available.
Yeah, exactly. The damage is just coming out and not even dampening has kicked in yet. So it'll be interesting to see whom gets really favored when dampening kicks in. But right now, Aztec are looking really good at this Rogue Mage Druid, I would say. I mean, we know they've fallen short of it in previous lands, but right now they seem to be performing quite well on it. Full kidney shot to Goreki during that travel form. Nice plays by Acros, but at the same time, nice play by Smex in there, using that to sub onto Acro to keep Goreki pretty much stabilized, even though he's still dropping very low. Fried Kitty getting a lot of pressure right now with that Ray of Frost, but out of line of sight there, he should be able to top himself.
Yeah, Smexen, you can see why they subbed him in this game. Excellent stuff there, good disarm. Great peels always from that Arms Warrior. So many like little annoying tools for the Rogue to deal with, such as the Stormbolt, such as the Fear, and of course that disarm. So really good use there by Smexen to keep his Druid in the fight there, one of his Druids at least, as Acrylos once again is going to have to find a connection to kind of punish this. He's trying to go after Smexen right now. Maybe in the deep stages of dampening, this Mage Druid can actually separate out Thugonomics enough from his team that they can just find kills on Smexen. That might be something they look for, but Acrylos once again has gone for a swap over onto Goreki. He's caught up in a Mighty Bash right now, but Minpoike is there to cover, gets the Mighty Bash of his own onto Goreki. They should have a follow-up kidney shot here, as once again, huge damage comes crashing in. Fried Kitty is free casting on that Frost Mage. That's not a situation you want to be in as Goreki.
Yeah, it's not the situation at all. He has to use that Bark skin, gets really low on HP, and I love how Minpoike played this out. He went in for the aggression, and then as soon as he knew that Aztec were going to force them really low on HP, he went for a drink himself, drinking to nearly full, but at the same time, Goreki's going for that as well. And every bit of mana now is going to count. Minpoike realizes that. That's why he drank to full just as dampening kicks in.
Yeah, so really nice play there by Minpoike. As you said, he helped with the offense. He actually helped a lot because I think Goreki was cutting away from Acro if not for that. And then He read the situation perfectly, and that is the ideal drink there for the Druid. Now he has 4 mana going into dampening. He can help his team stay aggressive. That's a beautiful sheep snagged there by Fried Kitty around the pillar. Very nicely done by him as they go for another big swap onto Smexin. Perfect cross crowd control from the Rogue Mage, but they drop it. Greki's able to re-stealth and avoid the repolymorph. Definitely a little bit of a mistake there from Aztech. They had such good cross crowd control. Maybe would have been enough to force a die by the sword, but ultimately the Gosu crew once again able to stay out of that situation. Smexin doing totally fine here, using his Maledict, maybe trying to create some counter pressure, but ultimately for the Gosu crew, it's just about prolonging the game, going for that deep dampening where they can find the kill.
Yeah, exactly. And Smexin actually did a nice play there, landing a double fill onto Fried K and Minpoike whilst they were onto Acrylos, actually forcing out the Vanish from Acrylos as well. But he still has that evasion, which is a huge safety net against this composition if he's able to pull it off in the nick of time. And once again, we see Minpoike full on mana. He's just going to drink after drink after drink. He knows that he's going to need mana in order for them to win this fight against the Gosu crew.
Yeah, so he's continuing to go for that. Minpoike, I mean, he's just been a legendary healer in Europe for such a long time, and now his team's looking to get aggressive once again. Kidney Shot comes in, Acrylol's going for damage, but they don't quite have crowd control onto Greki in this situation. Minpoike does have access to that Mighty Bash, but he's choosing not to pull the trigger on offense right now. The team rather favoring a little bit more of a defensive strategy, and I mean, oddly enough, Rogue Mage, this expansion, has become a very good dampening comp as well, just because of that Assassination Rogue ticking time bomb, I suppose. So it's going to be really fascinating to see which team does benefit more as these healing reduction effects stack deeper and deeper. We see Mighty Bash and a stun as well over onto Fried Kitty, as he is taking a lot of damage, has to use his own temporal shield. Minpoike's mana is great, but the offense for either team honestly hasn't been super fantastic. Another beautiful fear coming in there by Smexin, but it looks like it broke onto Acrylos. They're actually going for a swap to him. There's the Mighty Bash on 2 members from 2 druids as the Gosu crew look to set something up, and the health bars from Aztech are starting to wane as we approach 20% healing reduction.
Yeah, and it looks like they actually make a swap onto Minpoike, but everyone's kind of getting chunked down from Thug, the Bear, and Smexin right now. But as you say, as the game gets in deeper and deeper into dampening, actually Rogue Mage Druid does quite well into dampening due to that lockdown that they have, as well as the crowd control. We see Thug is actually getting caught out into a full hibernate there from Minpoike. It's a nice play once again from Minpoike and Fried Kitty to get that crowd control. Meanwhile, Acrylos is using a Vendetta onto Goreki, forcing out that Iron Bark, but not sure if it's going to be enough. Goreki needs to be able to get stabilized. 22% dampening, and Fried Kitty is looking to crush him right now. Nice bash coming out from Minpoike, and Goreki is not choosing to trinket this. This could be devastating. He uses that bark skin now instead, dropping really, really low on HP, but another beautiful Cyclone coming out from Minpoike.
Yeah, I feel like Greki played that one basically perfectly, but it might not be enough. The Rallying Cry is going to fall there. Greki in so much trouble. Acrylos should be able to pursue here. He's got the Shadow Step, uses it as he goes around the pillar. Is this going to be enough? Mighty Bash gets connected onto Acrylos as Greki is just going to kite away. There's no Shadow Step for the Rogue right now, but he can just spam throw that crippling poison across the map. Minpoike is there for low Cyclones if required. He's actually going for a drink right now. I'd love to see him just cancel this drink, go for Cyclones, help his Rogue connect. Instead, they're going for a Smoke Bomb play, but it's not going to achieve too much. Smexin in defensive stance. They could have maybe gone for a kill there, Aztech, but instead they are favoring going for this deeper game. Now it's Acrylos that's in trouble, having to use this final defensive cooldown. He gets stunned on that. He's in so much trouble. Executes don't quite connect, but that was an incredibly close call.
Yeah, that was a very close call for both teams, Adrian. I mean, the Gosu crew, Aztech might actually be biting themselves in the foot because, I mean, they just maybe lost their only kill opportunity, but we're going to have to see there's still time on their hands. Minpoike has chunked through his mana already, 30% dampening. I mean, anyone can go down right now. Smexin actually dropping super low on HP. He has the die by the sword if needed, but he's relying on that spell reflect, but another beautiful Cyclone coming out from Minpoike on low HP. Gonna deny the heals coming out from Smexin. If they're able to chain Crowdtron to Goreki, they land a full bash, they land a sheep, and that instantly procs the die by the sword from Smexin. Nice usage of that die by the sword, but they need to stop the crowd control. They're stopping the Cyclones, as it looks like, from Minpoike. Full blind followed up by Goreki, but he's going to use an Iron Bark and Trinket in order to keep Smexin alive. Yeah,
that was a lot of cooldowns used there by the Gosu crew, though. Definitely a good push for Aztech as they force every single cooldown. Fried Kitty is dropping low, but he has access to both his ice blocks once again here, and Smexin just has not been topped off for such a long time. This is an aggressive vanish from Acrylos that they look to seal the game. Hibernate comes in. The Sheep's coming in, perfect cross crowd control from Aztech as they look to pull one back in this series. They've been struggling, but Smexin is surely going to fall here, and the Rogue Mage Druid does indeed succeed at 37% dampening. They're able to find the kill onto that somewhat defenseless Arms Warrior at the very end of the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the arms where, like you said, without the tank trinkets and that die by the sword, he's just, kind of a liability, not having any self-healing. And unless Goreki and Thugonomics can keep him alive, then, he won't survive very long. And that's why we're going to see Chun-Li coming back on the Windwalker. And on a map like this, on Dalaran Sewers, going to be very difficult for Aztech to pull off a win.
Yep, so Chun-Li comes back in for game 4 here. The Gosu crew 1 game away from winning our first Europe versus North America clash here at BlizzCon. So we'll see if they're able to pull it out. I wouldn't be surprised to see Chun-Li coming out with some incredibly MVP plays. That's what he's been known for all year. And I mean, we talked about it, right? Like, who are the best players this year in AWC? We've been watching these teams for so many competitions. I believe this is the 15th competition in the AWC this year. So it's been incredible for all these teams, so much showtime. And Chun-Li has been one of the stars on that Windwalker Monk. A lot of other Windwalker Monks would die where he doesn't. Now he needs to prove that here on the BlizzCon stage against the Rogue Mage Druid that just took down his warrior friend on his team.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree. I feel like Chun-Li is the best Windwalker right now. So any Windwalkers out there, be sure to watch every move and every global cooldown this guy uses, because it's pretty much to perfection, especially when it comes to defensive play and kiting. And we're going to see that coming out right now. He's trying to pop some aggression onto Fried Kitty, kind of gets cycloned on it, so nothing really happening. At the same time, that was that frozen orb, so both teams trying to get aggressive, but on this very early stage, just trying to force as many defensive cooldowns as possible in order to try and just set up wins. And we see the smoke bomb kidney shot once again onto Chun-Li. I like these smoke bombs coming onto Chun-Li much more for macrolos. They're getting a lot of pressure, but at the same time, not really forcing any defensive cooldowns, so they're going to need to pack a bigger punch during these goes.
Yeah, that's basically what they need to go for. Ultimately, I think pressure. Oh wow, that's a lot of damage onto Fried Kitty. Wasn't necessarily expecting that, but for both sides, it's kind of a case of what can you force in the early stages of the game. Like, neither team's expecting to land a kill before dampening, but that doesn't mean that the first 5 minutes aren't important, because if one team can get a lot of pressure, force out mana, especially on the enemy healer, that's kind of the way that you build advantages, especially on these small maps where it's going to be much harder for the teams to drink. I think especially Aztech, they can look to get Greki down to, let's say, 60-50% mana in the first few minutes, and that's going to be a fantastic win for them. On the meantime, the Gosu crew actually have had a surprisingly high amount of damage to the point where they've almost forced ice blocks already. So Chun-Li coming in, already having impact. This is perfect crowd control once again, though, from Aztech, as they get a kidney shot into a Mighty Bash on Goreki. He doesn't have access to his Barksane or his Trinket. This is a huge play here from Aztech, who had perfect crowd control, but they can't quite find the damage. Thugonomics' presence on that Guardian Druid alone is enough to keep Goreki alive.
Yeah, his presence alone, indeed, the Thug Bear helping him keep himself stabilized, and Goreki having to use a late Iron Bark to survive, and now gets caught into a kidney shot, but I believe it was DR. I'm not really sure what happened to that kidney shot right there. Goreki looks to run and keep Mimpoike in combat. He does drink to full, but now he lands the bash into a full Cyclone onto Mimpoike, so Gosu crew trying to look to just pressure down the Fried Kitty, have as much uptime as possible, and just tunnel him down. And we actually see one misplay from Chun-Li. I've done that countless times. You Ring of Peace the mage, but it's DR to that Ursul's Vortex. Is very unfortunate.
Yeah, it's something that we're very familiar with from all our Windwalker Druid games. There's a lot of interesting little DRs and mechanics you have to be very mindful of when you're playing these comps, but the Gosu crew, 9 times out of 10, they'll make that one perfectly. And this is actually a big swap over onto Mimpoike. It's very rare that you see the Guardian Druid team being the one setting up the crowd control here, but Gosu crew, there's been a couple of times in the series where they've just looked so devastating with the limited crowd control they've had at their disposal. This is a good stun onto Acroloz. He doesn't have to use the evasion off of it though, so that's obviously ideal for Aztech. Mimpoike with a great timed Iron Bark mitigating the damage from that, but Goreki, this is one thing I admire about him. He could easily just play Guardian Affinity in this series and probably just kind of tank it out, but it might actually lose them the game in deep dampening, whereas these Rake stuns, if he can min-max his defense over the course of the early game, he can win the game with those, and you can start to see that Mimpoike dropping so low once again off of that Rake stun, greedily holds onto the Trinket, but he will survive.
Yeah, and like you said, these cat form plays, I love to see it kind of coming out from the Druids because it offers a higher skill cap ceiling as well as just more offensive plays for their teams to just get those kind of random wins whenever they have damage and the rest of the Druids able to just stun them. They can just get that pressure off, and that's the problem with the Thug being on the bear. I mean, you think he's just kind of tickling away, but then all of a sudden he can use that major essence and chunk you down incredibly hard. So they need to watch out for that. Try and time it as well. But it's a 2.5-minute cooldown, but it can deal a devastating amount of damage.
Yeah, and not only that, you also got Chun-Li now, who could just like chunk people all of a sudden, especially with that reverse harm. I just feel like this composition is kind of genius. And we were talking about it before, the fact that the Gosu crew and Aztech, both of them, as we see Chun-Li dropping very low, and that's a beautiful cycling from Minpoike, but both these teams really struggle this summer. Neither of them won a series. Aztech, their takeaway was, hey, let's play the Shadow Priest Rogue a little more. For the Gosu crew, they are like, we've been struggling against mages this entire year. Maybe it's time to bring something else out. And the answer have them so far has been Thugonomics on this bear. That said, they did lose the last game to the Rogue Mage Druid from Aztech. They could well lose this one as well. That was a really good offensive play once again from Aztech with low cyclones from Minpoike, great crowd control, and now they can go for yet another drink off of that.
Yeah, they set up these drinks really well from Aztec, so well played, especially now when dampening's starting to kick in, and they know after the last game just how deep into dampening they need in order to take out the Gosu crew. But Chun-Li is going to be here on that Windwalker. One thing that Chun-Li has done all game, which I've been waiting to see him use, is actually he's been holding on to that touch of death the entire game. So it's going to be interesting to see when he pops that trigger. Maybe he's waiting for certain cooldowns and kind of just at 100 to 0 in order to get that off. It will be interesting to see. Right now, though, he's going to be the target of choice. He's going to have those defensive cooldowns relatively soon. Fried Kitty actually getting chunked down right now. Maledict's used onto him, proccing his safeguard. Another Maledict comes out as well. They're trying to finish him off, but Minpoike getting in some big heals. Paralysis used onto him. Fried Kitty trying to kite from his life. And there it is, the first ice block of the game.
Yeah, and this could be a great opportunity for Chun-Li. Potentially, this could be the trigger for him to use that touch of death, and there it is. He uses it on the hypothermia. There's no immunity cooldown for Fried Kitty right now, but Minpoike, I would have loved to have just seen him trade out the Iron Bark, but it looks like Fried Kitty's going to be fine either way. Temporal Shield might be before the touch ticks. No, it was perfectly timed, so great job by Fried Kitty. They don't even trade the Iron Bark on that, so that was a really solid defense from Aztec. Now they look to get aggressive once again. Kidney shot onto Greg. He doesn't have access to his trinket, but it's not enough damage to force the Bark skin. Thugonomics is there with the peels. Chun-Li with the off heals. Perfectly done by the Gosu crew. They're playing this kind of composition where they just walk together as a ball towards any target, even Gurecki, oftentimes in bear form, in cat form, sitting with his melee DPS, turning it into that 3 combo. But another kidney shot comes in. Preemptive Iron Bark this time from Gurecki, as once again he reads the play, reacts to it, and keeps himself in the fight.
Yeah, that was an excellent play because he could have easily fallen to that Vendetta go by Acrolos if he didn't pre-Iron Bark. That's so excellent plays coming out from Gurecki. I think he's been playing such a solid game, both defensively and offensively for the Gosu crew. And they're going to need that if they want to take this win and move up further into that upper final. We see a huge go being turned onto Acrolos right now. But it looks like he's going to stabilize just for now. Minpoike might be looking for a drink. Another blind onto Gurecki, which instantly gets drink it. But again, Minpoike needs to try not be too greedy with that drink. Acrolos does have that evasion, though. So he should be able to survive pretty well. And now we see another kidney onto Gurecki, bash on a Minpoike. Both teams getting very offensive.
Yeah, both teams kind of looking for it right now. Thugonomics actually with that cool Tyrann racial there. And I guess it makes sense for him because oftentimes, since he's not the target, he won't be caught up in stuns. He can use that to just punt Acrolos off of his target, and it's been working well for them so far. I don't think I've ever seen a cool Tyrann Guardian Druid in Arena before, and I mean, hopefully I'll never have to deal with one again as the kidney shot comes in. This is the smoke bomb play. Big damage from Acrolos. They force out the Bark skin here, and that's going to be a low cyclone, or lowish, from Minpoike, mitigating that damage reduction, but as dampening continues to stack, Minpoike has been doing a good job of his drinks, but his team is struggling more on offense, I feel like, this game than they did in the past. The Ring of Frost is going to break from bleeds, and once again, Gurecki is the person free to go aggressive. He gets the re-stealth, gets the rake stun. Minpoike is struggling to keep him and Acro alive, and this game with Chun-Li is looking way better than the game with Smexen did last game.
Yeah, I have to agree. Chun-Li is another beast on that Windwalker and just applies a lot of disruption, a lot of utility to the Gosu crew compared to that Arms Warrior. Now we actually see a situation where there's no Ironbark from Impoike, no cooldowns defensively from Acrylol, so we could see a big offensive go. We actually see it onto Impoike. He
Ooh.
instantly gets re-stunned on
Oh,
his Trinket
no.
right there, and he gets completely obliterated by the Gosu crew. I wasn't expecting to go onto him, more so on Acrylol's, but what an excellent stun from Goreki on that Trinket. So they were able to take a kill and take the upper round as well.
All right, very good stuff. I'm going to pause there, Joe, as well, because we said
All right.
we would get a second on that one.
Yeah.
But that was he just got stunned on his trinket there. That was kind of disastrous. Because again, the game was looking pretty even. I would say both sides had good chances.
Yeah, it was looking really even, and you kind of don't really expect it's the kind of debate when you meet a tank spec in the arena, and you just think they're not going to deal much damage, but they have those burst opportunities with that essence, and that's exactly what happened. They used the touch of death, they used that essence, and they were able to restun his trinket and just obliterate him.
Alright, so we are going to be loading up here. This is incredibly loud, so I'm going to turn it down just a little bit here. But it is going to be Looney, Blizzo, and Maro, Wildcard Gaming, going up against Unitas White here for this next game of the series. We've got the two teams loaded up into the map, and Wildcard Gaming are running that composition we've grown to love them for at the Summer Finals.
Yep, they're playing that Warrior, Fire Mage, Mistweaver Monk, which we've seen and grown to love in the Summer Finals. And Unitas White actually taking a page out of their own book, playing the Warrior, Fire Mage, but with a Resto Druid instead. Going to be Oxygen on his ult Restoration Druid. We're going to see if they're able to take a game. But Wildcard Gaming have kind of just innovated this comp and have been masters at it. So it's going to be interesting to see just how different the Mistweaver and Druid variants are.
Yeah, this is a huge opener here from Wildcard Gaming, as they do get a lot of damage in the early stages. CMD already forced into his Cauterize. Fortunately, he doesn't have to use the Ice Block from his point of view, but meanwhile, Looney, all he's had to use is a Life Cocoon, a 55-second cooldown, so much better exchange here for Wildcard Gaming. And in the early stages, Unitas White, with that sort of quasi-mirror, are definitely not looking too good.
Yeah, Wildcard Gaming are just so solid on this comp, already forcing the Cauterize Ice Block right now. Blizzard has been all over him, and that disarm came a bit too little too late, and Wildcard Gaming are on fire right now, able to just completely destroy CMD. He has nothing in the tag. Stormo onto Oxygen. If they can land any more crowd control onto him, CMD could surely go down. Iron Bar gets used, and Blizzard is just chunking away at his HP. Nice counter spell as well coming out from Maro onto CMD. They're keeping their team locked down as well. Paralysis on the Oxygen with a full sheep on the Yosuke as well. Both these warriors right now needing to be peeled from both mages to survive, but Maro has that safety net of the Ice Block Cauterized still, whereas CMD has nothing.
Yeah, CMD is certainly struggling in this one. They've been, honestly, it's just been fantastic from Wildcard Gaming. We know how good they are at this composition. Unitas, for them, it is much more an ult composition. Yosuke on an ult, Oxygen on an ult. So it's certainly going to be an uphill battle for them to play against what many would consider the best warrior mage team in the world right now. Maro has been doing such a good job on that fire mage, one of the few representing on that. We see a Stormbot onto Looney, looking for counter pressure. They do manage to find the sheep. Maro put on the back foot here. Let's see how he plays it. Is he going to be able to find that survivability we know him for? Temporal Shield gets used. Life Cocoon as well from Looney, as there's no follow-up crowd control. Now Oxygen is the one gasping for breath as he's caught up in a fear into a full stun. CMD without any defensive cooldowns could end up falling here, Joe.
Yeah, he's super low on HP. Maros as well, but has those safe nets. CMD getting into execute range right now, sheeping Blizzard into another sheep, but he's going to reconnect relatively soon. But Oxygen doing a good job to keep him top before that. But at the same time, just every time Blizzard and Mara are connecting onto CMD, they're able to get a ton of pressure onto CMD, but it looks like they're going to stabilize. Looney now getting caught into a Chaos Bolt, but a nice pummel and Stormball from Blizzard there, stopping CMD from getting any crowd control.
Yeah, really nicely done there. Honestly, Unitas White, I thought they might be done for there, but they were able to stay in the fight. Now Mara is the one on the back end. No Life Cocoon for a few seconds here. Looney is looking to stabilize his mage, can spell an Oxygen as they look for reversal of the pressure, but Unitas White are starting to find signs of life here. The full stun, or rather full fear onto Looney. Unfortunately, it breaks a little bit early there Samara is going to get connected with the Life Cocoon, but great stuff from Unitas White. It looked like Wildcard Gaming was completely dominating in this game. They've managed to stabilize it, and now they're actually starting to generate some counter pressure. Let's see what Wildcard can get done here. There's a full Stormbolt. There's the Ring of Frost. CMD caught up in a 3 versus 1 situation, and he gets blown up. Wildcard Gaming with a quick victory.
Yeah, that Stormbolt Ring of Frost combo to auction with the Maledicts and the pressure was completely nuts. They were actually just killed him in just one Ring of Frost, really, because of that onslaught coming out from Blizzard and Mara. You could see how they're able to take a quick 1-0. But I agree with you. I feel like Unitas White, at the start, it was looking kind of terrible because of the way that they got the Core Ice and Ice Block so quickly. But at the same time, they actually turned it around and would have probably forced the Ice Block or Cauterize if they didn't bring that fear onto Looney.
Yeah. Alright, so we are loading up here into game 2. It was actually a reasonably close game between Wildcard Gaming and Unitas in the end. Obviously, a very, very lively start for Wildcard. Unitas were able to tie it up. And I mean, as someone that's played a ton of Warrior Mage in your time, Joe, it is really nice to see this comp kind of back in the meta and teams actually mirroring here at BlizzCon.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to see. I mean, you played it yourself and had probably my most favorite series to watch was you, Zinyaki, and No Life mirror it up against the Chinese team. It's just so fun to watch Warrior Mage go. Just usually you see Warrior comps kind of play defensively, trying to outdampen to win, but in this composition, it's gonna be the better aggressor that wins.
Yeah, it's flat out aggression. There's no off healing in this game. It's just every single player is like, sharpen blade. Tools like this are just so aggro, and it means that both teams are incentivized to just get aggressive, get counter spells onto each other's healer, rather than going for the defensive strategy where you'll just get overwhelmed. So Wildcard Gaming, early stages of this game, they have the damage advantage, but there's no crowd control on Oxygen. CMD almost dying before crowd control connects. Now a beautiful double leg sweep from Looney. Incredible stuff from Wildcard.
Yeah, this was incredible. They land a full sheep onto Oxygen, and they once again get that Cauterize Ice Block within the first minute of the game. Wildcard are absolutely buzzing right now with their offensive gameplay. Mara also taking quite a bit of damage. Nice counterspell onto Looney right now, who's opted to play with the Trinket now instead of that Relentless. Just kind of Trinkets, uses that Revival, tries to keep Mara top, and they still have a lot of defensives to work with, whereas Unitas White, once again, their biggest defensive cooldowns out the way. They need to change something right now, and they're getting a lot of pressure onto Marrow, and nice job there to force out that Cocoon.
Yeah, really nicely done there by Unitas White, but obviously they lost the Ice Block, they lost the Cauterize, so they are the team to watch out for right now. We are 1 minute into the game only, but it is so explosive. Even in the slower pace metas, this matchup is one to watch. Beautiful cross crowd control on both sides. Both healers now in a Ring of Frost and in a Fear to follow on the side of Unitas. CMD caught up on his own lonesome for a little bit. Doesn't have access to any defensive cooldowns as we see a Stormbolt to follow. Double stun from Looney, who has been on point with those leg sweeps. Executes are inevitable if CMD doesn't get some heals here. He's so low on health. The Temporal Shield, though, in the nick of time, saves his life.
Yeah, just about saves his life, but how long will he be able to survive the onslaught, which is known as Wildcard Gaming? Blizzard has that Avatar and Bladestorm to connect and keep up a ton of pressure on the CMD. But at the same time, Oxygen has that Iron Buck, uses that right now because CMD is just getting completely obliterated by Blizzard and Mara right now. CMD trying to kite, but Blizzard on that Gnome going to be able to keep up to him. Nice denials by Yosuke there, actually, onto Maro, stopping the crowd control coming out onto Oxygen whilst he was in that Stormbolt counterspell now. And this is where they start to blow up the mages. Every time he lands that counterspell onto Oxygen, they're just able to obliterate CMD. He's getting super low on HP, gets pummeled, and gets destroyed by Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, I was about to compliment Yosuke because he warbanned that Dragon's Breath there to deny a follow-up sheep, but then Wildcard Gaming just threw caution to the wind and absolutely destroyed the mage. It's just, I mean, these guys are such a pleasure to watch. I loved watching them at summer finals, like when they were playing into the rogue mages, when they're playing into the mage locks, like all these matchups where you're like, no one can beat these comps seemingly. And then they bring out a monk and an arms warrior and they make it look like it's favored towards them. These guys are truly brilliant. And that's 2 quick mirror wins for them. Unitas White going over to the Demon Hunter Death Knight, which is a comp we saw Method Black running earlier. And we know this to be pretty good into those mage comps. So let's see how this does play out here in game 3.
Yeah, I mean, Unitas White will have to play this composition well, though, if they want to take down Wildcard Gaming. And like you say, I feel like it's just because they're just a master on each of those specs that they're playing right now. Like Ludi, Blizzo, and Marrow are probably the best of each spec they're playing right now. And, to play that into Rogue Mage, really just they make it seem like it's a favorable matchup sometimes. But, it really isn't.
There's a reason no one else plays it, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's such a difficult matchup for them to win, but they're able to just kind of outplay everyone almost in that regards. And right now we see, once again, another comp that they're kind of unfavored against, but they know exactly how to play into it. Pressuring Fresh, really low on HP right now. They forced a ton of defensive cooldowns right now. Nice Ring of Peace as well with the Lexi, and they have just forced completely every defensive cooldown, Adrian.
Yeah, that was such a beautiful Ring of Peace. They might just win the game here. Execute comes in. Wildcard Gaming. That was, 36-second game or something? Probably the fastest game we've seen of the year. They've got it all, That was... The Ring of Peace was legendary, knocking him directly out of the darkness. They force every single cooldown. The crowd control never stops. The damage never stops. And this is going to be a team to beat. Wildcard Gaming with a quick series. And we know that puts them up against Cloud9 for one of our series that's going to be coming up here, because that series ends up being one of the best.
Yeah, that series. I can't wait to see all of that series. I mean, may have seen it, but who knows at this point. But before that, we're going to see Method Black against the Gosu crew, and they actually lock in the Mage Lock Druid. And actually, this is quite a smart pick from Method Black, because it's going to be difficult for the Gosu crew to kind of out-dampen MOD, as I feel like MOD is one of the best dampening comps right now.
Yeah, so this is certainly Method Black again, being smart and confident with their ult compositions. They're known for the Rogue Mage traditionally, being like, Waz and Raikou. You would say they're potentially the best Rogue Mage in the world, but so far in this tournament, they haven't even needed to resort to that composition. They've been playing the Death Knight with the Demon Hunter, and then also this Mage Warlock Druid. So in the first game here in the Grand Arena, we know what Thugonomics is going to be locking in. He loves that Guardian Druid. Had a quick victory against Aztech, slow and steady victory against Aztech in the last series. Now, though, up against the ultimate dampeners with this Mage Warlock.
Yep, and it looks like they're going to be heading and turning their attentions onto Thugonomics, already forcing out a survival instinct from him. So very peculiar to try and kill, a Guardian Druid, at least from a melee perspective. But being those wizards, you're not going to have to, have a lot of reduced damage from that high armor a Guardian Druid has. So it could work out well for Method Black, and it will be interesting to see how this game kind of goes. I like the talent choice as well, playing with that Fell Fisher. Nice stuns coming in from Chaz right now. Now, that Fell Fisher during those stuns means that Goreki's going to have a very difficult time to keep anyone top.
Yeah, so certainly one of the nice things I think about attacking the Guardian Druid here is that since the Guardian Druid has so much health, it means that obviously he's tough to kill, but equally he's actually tough to heal, because, if you have to heal, let's say, 400,000 health versus 500,000 or 600,000 health, then it's just going to cost you more mana. And you can already see Greki, 1 minute into the game, he's burnt through about 20% of his mana pool. He's used his Innovate, and they also have a much easier time stopping the drink than as Aztec's team did, just because they have that Fell Hunter from the Warlock. So the Fell Hunter's going to be chasing Greki. Raiku's able to chase Greki. They have so much damage here. Chaz getting aggressive. Mighty Bash, they're looking for a solo kill almost onto Greki. There's no way Raikou actually lands this. At least I assume, as the Buckskin comes in, Greki able to keep himself alive, but he's already starting to feel the pressure here, as Method Black with this Mage Lock Druid have just looked so good so far.
Yeah, the Mage Lock Druid has been looking very dominant, kind of similar to Cloud9's playstyle, where they just have very good positioning and are able to just kind of out-damage and out-pressure their opponents passively, with Chaz as well going into that cat form and setting up potential kills for them, especially onto Goreki right now. He's pretty much done a ring around the rosy on Nagrand Arena, but still taking a lot of damage. Nice stun from Chaz as well, once again kind of disrupting his gameplay, getting pressure on the Thugonomics. So like you said, Adrian, it's good that they can, kind of tunnel down into the Guardian Druid. Not only is it a lot of health for Goreki to heal, but tanks actually also take more damage in arena games as well, and Method Black are capitalizing on this.
Yeah, they're doing a really good job, and they're crowd controlling Chun-Li as well. Chun-Li, we know him to be such a great playmaker, but if they can just kind of get those fears onto him, you can see another one there from Swapsy, just spam fear Chun-Li, keep him out the game as best as possible, and Goreki's mana is already 50%. We're not even a dampening yet. this is exactly what the Mage Warlock Druid wants. They've looked fantastic so far in this series. Let's see how the Gosu crew does play it though, because obviously if Meta Black doesn't land the kill, Swapsy is a very stationary target that they could easily kill, but this is a big swap onto Greki. The Infernals come in. Greki's not trading out his Trinket here, could be a little greedy. A lot of off-heals coming in from both Thugonomics and Chun-Li. Thugonomics actually getting spell locked there by Swapsy to deny those off-heals, and that might be enough to land the kill. He's so low on health. You can see Battle Masters for Greki are currently active. He's standing in the Fellfisher. Manages to get out of that. Should be able to stabilize himself. In the meanwhile, Raikou taking a lot of damage, forced into the ice blocks. So damage on both sides. It's been a surprisingly explosive game, I would say.
Yeah, I think both teams just kind of got off guard. And, like you said, I think Gorecki was a bit greedy there, but I think he knew his greed was going to pay off. He knew that he had the Shadow Belt and the Battle Masters ready to kind of survive in that situation and then have enough time to get out of line of sight. But at the same time, Raikou and Swapsy were getting very aggressive, and the Ghost Crew, Thugonomics, and Chun-Li just kind of reversed that pressure, bursted Raikou heavily, forcing that ice block and that hypothermia to happen. So right now they're going back onto Swapsy though, trying to pressure him down. They don't have the offensive cooldowns available, so going to be kind of passive right now. And at the same time, Gorecki trying to get aggressive, uses that bash onto Chaz, but no extra crowd control to follow up.
Yep, so it's going to be another case of kind of both teams stabilizing a little bit. Gorecki's mana isn't fantastic, but the team is looking pretty stable, as you said. So let's see what the Gosu crew can make happen here, because the longer the game goes, I feel like it's one of those cases where, for us as casters, we haven't really seen that many Guardian Druid games. You always want to make the assumption that the Mage Warlock Druid is going to be favored in deep dampening, but you never know, right? The Destruction Warlock's going to lose a lot of his self-healing. He doesn't really have any kiting since he's playing the Mortal Coil build, so he could be a liability if we get deep enough. Meanwhile, though, Thugonomics, he's been taking so much damage the entire game. Raiku's just been teeing off on both him and Gorecki and finding opportunities to get pressure onto those Druids.
Yeah, and once again, I just feel like it was a very smart pick coming out from Metha Black, expecting Thugonomics Bear to come out and, play this composition and have it at their disposal. And it seems like they know exactly what they're doing into Thugbear, because I don't really know what I would do into Thugbear, to be honest. But Metha Black, well-practiced team. They've been practicing time and time again. They know what everyone plays, and they know how to deal with it.
Yeah, this Guardian Druid is not going to throw a curveball that Metha Black didn't expect. I actually heard that prior to this day, Metha Black was spam wargaming against Aztech with Swapsy playing Guardian Druid, and that's one of the other advantages you have when you're someone like Metha Black and you have someone like Swapsy on your team, is that even when there's kind of one of these curveballs, you can guarantee that guy can play it. He just logs on, looks at all the talents, and he's just able to play it, give both teams a ton of practice with how those games work, and moreover see kind of the damage limitations of the class, which as you say, it can be a little bit spiky for a Guardian Druid just because of the Azerite build. So Swapsy right now, he does have his offensive up, so do Raikou. They're trying to get some counter pressure here, and for the first time in the game, they're actually attacking Chun-Li a little bit, and because of that, they do force the Touch of Karma with those offensive cooldowns.
Yeah, and they actually try to chug through it and force the diffuse magic as well. Swapsy landing 2 extra chaos spells, and now Chun-Li does a beautiful teleport away, denying that 3rd chaos spell, and that was the cooldowns of Swapsy, the Infernal and that Dark Soul. And like you said with Swapsy, one thing I've even known that he's done in 2015, as soon as we don't know a class, he logs in that class on TR and plays it. That's exactly what happened when we found out Jamili was playing the Arcane Mage. So, Swapsy's the kind of guy that if he doesn't know about a spec or, their strengths and weaknesses, he'll log on, figure it out, know exactly what they can and cannot do.
Yeah, the concept of no class will be arcane to Swapsy. He just knows everything about this game, every little nuance, and that's why he is a currently 2-time BlizzCon champion. We'll have to see if he wins this BlizzCon as well, as his team is doing fantastically well here in this first game. Chun-Li dropping very low, doesn't have access to any of those defensives because, of course, he had to use everything before. Now we see a full polymorph snagged. Excellent job by Raikou. Chun-Li on the run, transcends away. Excellent defense play, as we've come to expect from Chun-Li, but if he's having to play this defensively, there's no counter pressure, and as dampening continues to build up, look at Gorecki's mana. He's really struggling in game 1.
Yeah, he's struggling, and Chun-Li is very low on HP. He has a fortified brew left. He'll have that touch of karma and diffuse magic soon, but it's one thing to survive, it's another to try and force the kill. Now, what I like to see is that Chun-Li is actually playing with that Tiger Eye brew talent, so they could burst down Swapsy very heavily if need be, but at the same time, Method Black have their whole arsenal of defensive cooldowns, so they need to start kind of piling those on, getting those out of the way if they're able to deal a final blow with that touch of death and Tiger Eye Brew combination. We see right now though, full bash on the Chun-Li. He's really struggling to get any pressure on the Swapsy whatsoever.
Yeah, Swapsy's health just hasn't been moving. Chaz, though, he hasn't actually managed to get good drinks. Greki, he's someone that's been having to wear a lot of hats in this matchup. He hasn't been going for cyclones because there's so many interrupts, but one thing he's been doing a really good job of is denying the drinks from Chaz. There's no one else really that can do that job, so if Chaz is able to get a drink, I think this game is instantly over in favor of Method Black. He hasn't been able to just yet. This is a big damage onslaught onto Swapsy. Chaz actually sitting down for a drink right now. Swapsy might want to use defensive cooldowns, but instead he's just counter-pressuring. They get a sheep onto Greki. He trinkets out, uses Iron Bark. Chun-Li has nothing else available. Chaz actually wasn't able to sit down for too much of a drink, but Chun-Li is incredibly low on health here. The Fellfishers, the DR Polymorph snagged by Raikou. It looks like they might just be able to take this game one, and they are. Chun-Li falls, and Method Black with, I would say, a pretty convincing game one victory here.
Yeah, it looked very convincing to me from Method Black. I mean, that's the kind of the weakness of the Bear Druid, right? Throughout the game, even though they can, force your team to survive, they can't really force kill opportunities. So, and what happened was Method Black throughout until Deep Dampening were just keeping Chun-Li crowd controlled because he's their only damage dealer. If they kept him in crowd control for most of the game, then they could just kind of play offensively, well, even passively offensively, just to dish out as much damage and pressure as possible. Swapsy could just sit there, turret damage. Chaz can kind of sit there, heal, as well as Raikou could just sit there, tunnel damage, whilst Raikou and Swapsy kind of rotate the Sheeps and Fears onto Chun-Li. And then when it got deeper into dampening, they're able to get his cooldowns a lot more easily due to the nature of just Goreki not being able to heal him and then eventually land a kill onto Chun-Li.
Yeah, that's basically what they're looking for. It was kind of interesting to see how they attacked Thugonomics at the start of the game, and then they just kind of realized, like, hey, we can just kill Chun-Li through all his defense. So it was one of those games where things changed, but ultimately the Gosu crew do change up their composition here. They're going to be playing the DK and the Windwalker Monk instead, figuring that maybe Thugbear has hit his limitations here against Method Black, but this is a huge opener. Chun-Li already taking a ton of damage.
Yeah, he actually had to use that Fortified Brew as well as the Battle Master. He dropped super low, but Bulls are still ready to not use that Touch of Karma right now in Swapsy's Inferno. And yeah, I like the Death Knight choice, but one thing is I feel like Smexin just hasn't been able to step up to that play yet on the Death Knight. He does play it really well, but just hasn't really been able to kind of get the results needed to take down teams such as Method Black.
Yeah, it's been a question of his defense, right? Because in terms of offense, I think Smexin's had some really good performances. Because he's running the Dark Sim again here, and I think he's been pretty good. But there's definitely been a little bit of criticism around him in terms of just survivability, and teams have been killing him like a little bit earlier dampening than perhaps they would take down Mez or Swapsy or someone like that. So it's hard to like kind of pinpoint it, but we did hear some kind of rumors backstage of teams talking about that. Ultimately, though, the Gosu crew, they have got their first victory on the board. They won against Aztech, so they'll be happy with that. Method Black, though, this is kind of the ultimate test. How can this Windwalker Death Knight do? Pressure on Smexin here, as he is the kill target. Uses Anti-Magic Zone here to trade out for the Dark Soul of Swapsy. Interesting choice. He wasn't really able to get too much damage out, but I guess they're just kind of going for those even trades. 2-minute cooldown for 2-minute cooldown seems pretty reasonable, and in a mana game, that's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, to be honest, I actually really like this trade. And like you said, his defensive play was a question earlier, but this here right now, I actually think was a very good defensive play. Trade in the Dark Soul, the Anti-Magic Zone, for the Dark Soul is a needed play, and, kind of goes toe-to-toe with it because Dark Soul can do a lot of damage if he's able to get off those casts. But at the same time, I actually feel like as the Windwalker Death Knight composition, there's a fine line between getting into too much dampening, where the Death Knight self-healings just don't do anything, the Anti-Magic Shell doesn't as well, and they need to get that kill. So I would like to see some aggression come in a bit later into dampening, because they're gonna need that if they want to get a kill onto Swapsy. Otherwise, I feel like Method Black can win this deeper into dampening.
Yeah, it's certainly what they kind of need to go for. They need to get kind of earlier kills, or at least force mana, right? Like, if Method Black goes into dampening with full mana, then as you say, they're probably just going to win this one. If Chaz is down to, like, let's say 20-30%, and then Greki feels like he can afford to chase, that's kind of the conditions where the Gosu crew can potentially make something happen. But so far, it has just been a Method Black show, both in terms of offense and defense. They've looked great. Here, you can see Chaz doesn't have his trinket, but they just do a great job peeling, and now they're going to reverse it with the Infernal push. So Swapsy is very scary right now. There's no anti-magic zone available for 20 seconds, and Chaz is also free to get aggressive, use those stuns, but he actually gets caught up in a stolen sheep, so once again smacks in with good offense. Let's see if he can get any damage going with that.
Yeah, that was a great stolen sheep by Smacks in there and timing it onto Chaz outside of his form. At the same time, though, Chun-Li dropping lower and lower right now, having to use that 4-5 brew once again, as well as the Iron Bar coming out from Goreki, but that should be enough to keep him stable. The Iron Bar comes out from Chaz as well onto Swapsy. Chun-Li and Smacks doing quite a good amount of pressure, and, you know, Chun-Li is going to have that touch of death soon, so I'd love to see it go for it onto Swapsy after the Ironbark fades.
Yep, so let's see what he can get done here. Ironbark is now down. Swapsy could potentially be a kill target. There's the touch of death, so Chun-Li is going to go for the play. He recognizes the situation, as Joe said. This is a perfect time to potentially force the unending resolve, but the damage just seemingly isn't there. They do chunk him a little bit of that touch of death, but Chaz just has full mana. He's just chilling in this situation. He knows what it's like to be Cubsy with the shades just in the background, keeping his team alive whilst they just obliterate the opponent. Raikou blinks forward, gets the shadow with the flurry. Greki has next to no mana left, and Chaz, he's looking for a re-stealth. He gets it. He gets another stun, just being annoying, putting Greki further and further behind in this game and denying him of any opportunities to drink, as we know, the valuable water that these druids so crave.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, Chaz leading that with style right now. Chun-Li dropping incredibly low, having to use that touch of karma onto Swapsy right now to survive the pressure. And Raikou actually wants to go through it. He keeps channeling those frost bolts into Chun-Li, but with that 4-5 brew kind of overlapped, I would say, with the Ironbark there, is going to keep him stable, as well as the anti-magic zone coming out from the dark. So that was a lot of defensive cooldowns and quite a few overlaps, honestly, coming out from the Gosu crew. So after these defensive cooldowns fade, they could be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of a problem here. Greki's actually sitting down seemingly for a drink. This actually could be really good for the Gosu crew. I think drinking definitely favors them since they're so far behind in this game. So despite that play, they're able to find that. That's really nice for them. Chun-Li does have his diffuse magic back available, which is very effective against this composition, of course, since both of them are running the wizards, the magical damage dealers. Raikou dropping very low. Definitely got to be a bit scared for him. He gets kicked at very low health, and he doesn't trade out his second ice block. Maybe he was still on hypothermia from the aggressive one. I can only imagine that is a disastrous time there for Method Black, as the Gosu crew will tie it up with that play.
Yeah, actually, what happened there? Raikou, for some reason, I think he ice blocked defensively, but I can't. I'm really interested to see. He actually just ice blocked, and he was on hypothermia, and they just reversed the pressure, used Maledict onto him, and he was able to fall just from that alone. So well played from Ghost Crew. Actually, you can see why their aggression is something we don't question when it comes to Windwalker Death Knight. Seeing that opportunity and getting a kill onto Raikou, and they're able to tie things up.
Damn, I actually kind of want to go back and see what happened there exactly. Can we do that?
Same.
Should we go back to like 16
okay, yeah,
minutes?
Yeah.
All right.
I actually want to see.
Because I was not looking at that at all, yeah.
Like, I saw he had hypothermia, and I realized, I was like, oh, wait, he's like going down.
All right, let's go back to like 15. Let's go to 15:30 and then play from there.
What did he block?
Let's see it. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wait 1 sec.
Oh.
Okay.
15:30?
Okay, when?
All right.
Wait, this is 8. Okay.
This feels really harsh, but I'm just genuinely curious what happened. Okay.
No, yeah, me too. Yeah. Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So let's see what actually happens here. So this is the replay brought to you by Acer or Omen by HP, whichever people you prefer. So we see the full sheep snagged here onto Chaz, and Raikou.
He broke the parrot.
He broke the paralyze there. That's a really interesting play, and then gets vortexed on the blink. Yeah, I didn't expect that.
Oh, that is the biggest punish ever. Holy.
Yeah, that's definitely a feels bad man there. So the Gosu crew with the triple Maledict push, able to just kind of punish that ice block.
I could only imagine the comms. What did you block? Block para, man.
Oh dear. Well, you've got to have one of those per tournament. Magic Stat knows it. Sometimes when you're in the major's head, you got to go for that. But ultimately, we're allowed to be a little harsh there because obviously the guy does kind of well in this tournament in the end. But that one, I honestly I didn't even look for him to have used an ice block there because they looked like they were so far ahead in this game.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe that's why he blocked. He just thought they could win. But it was like, yeah. It was a great punish from Gosu, to be honest, because they just killed with like Maladin goes.
Yeah, it was no offensive cooldowns really. It was just Malix, and they knew that was their one chance, right? Like Kreki all in for that play. So I mean, you gotta give huge credit to the Gosu crew for exploiting that, but definitely small mistake there, and that's gonna tie it up 1-1. But you know where we're gonna get taken now.
Yep, we're taken into Tolviron Arena against that deadly rogue mage druid of Method Black. Waz stepping in on that assassination rogue, already putting a kidney shot into Bash onto Goreki, completely slaughtering him, and he just about sneaks in that Spirit Link, but has to use that Dwarf as well to survive. Still getting tunneled down from this composition. Nice pills, though, coming out from Chun-Li onto Waz, forcing him very low as well.
Yeah, so this is the first game where Method Black have actually locked in the Rogue Mage Druid. This is the first time we've seen Waz come out, I believe, in the entire tournament so far, and it is their counter pick. They've got Tolvaron Arena, the Mage Druid playground, and they know exactly what the Gosu crew is locked in. Interestingly enough, though, the Gosu crew actually, Goreki swaps over to the Shaman for the first time here, which was originally the answer North America drafted for the Rogue Mage Druid. They kind of go for this deep dampening Mage Windwalker DK, sorry, and then just kind of in the deep stage of the game go for a Purge one-shot with Goreki. So let's see if it does work out for them here. Touch of Karma forced early with the Smoke Bomb onto Chun-Li, though whilst Method Black has forced quite a lot of significant cooldowns, importantly, Goreki has held on to his trinket so far.
Yeah, he's held onto his trinket so far, but now needs to further it because Chun-Li is in trouble. No touch of Karma and nice crowd control trades coming out from Goreki. He gets put into a stun, into a half sheep, now into the full blind, so there's that trinket, which is a very good trade. He needs to get the heals out, though, uses that Aura Mastery right now to keep Chun-Li topped. And one thing that could also happen as well, Adrian, is I feel like the Rogue Mage can also make these offensive goes to Goreki, and if I don't know if Raiku's playing Klepto, but if they can get rid of that Ghost Wolf whilst he's in a full kidney shot, they can deal an absurd amount of damage to Goreki. So it'll be interesting to see if Method Black opt for that or just, and they're just kind of cleaving Chun-Li down as well, trying to get kills onto him. They're forcing him very low on HP, but like we've said time and time again, Chun-Li is kind of a kite god on this class.
Yeah, he is, but certainly if he's kiting, he's not dealing damage, so either way, Method Black just benefits. And I agree with you as well. When Waz is sitting on Goreki, since he is in Ghost Wolf, even if they don't kill him, it means that he literally cannot heal anyone else on his team, right? He's basically sitting in the equivalent of bear form for Shamans. So Waz is going for that. He's just tunneling down Goreki, meaning that Chun-Li is never topped off when they go for these kidney plays. And whilst it does leave Raikou somewhat exposed, Raikou has been doing just fine with Chaz in the background healing him up. They have a big map to work with, and again, the kidney shot comes in, but Chun-Li's already down to about 50% health before that kidney shot even connects, so it just means that they have much more pressure in the game. Goreki has been doing a good job so far, though. That was a really nice Earthen Wall Totem to mitigate damage onto Chun-Li, and that enables Chun-Li to get aggressive, deny the drink from Chaz, even on the big map of Tolvaron.
Yeah, exactly. But now not having that access to Earthen Wall Totem could be quite devastating because Waz has that Vendetta, so he can get a lot of pressure, forcing out the anti-magic zone right now onto Goreki, and a nice Cyclone from Chaz right there onto Goreki, keeping him low at HP and kind of rendering that anti-magic zone useless. Goreki trying to do what he can to survive. Nice paralysis onto Waz there by Chun-Li, allowing Goreki to get away just about, but again, Chaz is doing an excellent job onto Goreki, trying to just keep him away and make sure that Waz can't connect. Waz is trying to connect.
Yeah, but they catch him once again here outside of Ghost Wolf form, and this is the Vendetta. Because they forced that anti-magic zone before the Vendetta, now they can look for those massive cooldowns. They get the Astral Shift, they get the Trinket, they get the Spirit Link, every single cooldown from Goreki, and they still are pushing with the Maledics here. Chun-Li has to go onto Waz, and this is what I want to see. Oftentimes, when the Rogue is soloing your healer, the Windwalker needs to be the person to come back because he has the leg sweep, he has the disarm, so a lot of peels there, and most importantly, you can just snare the Rogue and enable Goreki to get away. So I like like this adaptation mid-game from the Gosu crew. You can tell that they're very experienced in this matchup. Actually, a pretty preemptive Earthen Wall totem or coming in from Gorecki there. Chun-Li actually ported out of that one for a second, but he's able to get back into the fight, get back into the totem as well whilst trying to kite him out. But looks like they should stabilize with that. They are very low on cooldowns though. Meta Black with a ton of openings to try and win this one.
Yeah, this is looking very textbook for Method Black, just kind of having these solid offensive maneuvers going, but at the same time saying that Chun-Li actually tries to use a touch of Death Go onto Chaz, but Waz reading this perfectly, actually uses a defensive blind onto Chun-Li, so they're not going to have that offensive momentum coming out, but at the same time, that blind is the reason right now that Chaz is still alive.
Yeah, that was such a clean play actually. I was super impressed. They got the touch of death on him, and then Chaz, because he got gripped in, he was able to use his wild charge away, and Chun-Li in-capped him with the touch of death already up, and then Ring of Peace him back into them for the leg sweep. So it was an incredibly, I would say, like a fantastic setup from the Gosu crew. Honestly, if that blind hadn't come in, it could have been 2-1 in their favor, which is surprising. But Waz now taking a lot of damage. Stolen Sheep once again. Preemptive Iron Bark though, combined with that evasion, should be enough to keep him alive. And Chun-Li is the one taking damage. The anti-magic zone comes in, but I think it's going to be too late. The smoke bomb, is it going to be enough with the anti-magic zone, with the Earthen Wall totem? Chun-Li, I can't believe he's not dead yet. He's been at 1% health for the last 10 seconds. Finally dies. The power of those defensive cooldowns, but I think you got to say it was a little bit late coming in there, especially from Smex in the anti-magic zone. Needed to come in a bit faster. That was a really back and forth finish though.
Yeah, it was back and forth, and excellent. I actually thought that Chun-Li for some reason was gonna live, just because it was Chun-Li.
Yeah.
Any other Windwalker that low on HP, you just there and got her. It's over. But for some reason, I thought Chun-Li was maybe gonna live that, but unfortunately not. Method Black go 2-1 up in the series, and now they resorted to blind picking the Frost Death Knight Demon Hunter Rested Druid composition. I actually think this is a really smart comp to pick it to the Gosu crew.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I really feel like Method Black, like this series was closer than I remember it. That game, especially with that beautiful setup from Chun-Li, and it could have been a really close finish. We could have even seen Gosu crew 2-1 up. But obviously Method Black with a really nice composition pick here. I think the Demon Hunter is perfect. If you're going for a late game win condition, bringing in the Demon Hunter suddenly is going to throw that into array because of that mana rift. And let's see what Raikou can get done with that here.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of a Frost Death Knight's dream, having that cleave, the 2-target pressure. Frost Death Knights just deal an absurd amount of damage, and Swapsy knows that. I actually talked to Swapsy about how to play Frost Death Knight, recently as well. So he gave me all the secrets, all the tips of Frost Death Knights, and I know that he the only real weakness is when you're against a Wizard Cleave, and they can just kind of split up, and you get no real cleave pressure. But as you see here, he's getting triple cleave pressure. He's just able to deal so much damage, and I actually think Method Black will have their number just because of this composition alone. And Gosu crew, are just kind of hoping for Thugbear to be a savior.
Yeah, I certainly think that Thugbear is coming in here as the last ditch, but the Gosu crew are up against it. They're playing against Europe's #1 in a series where they're already down to match point in favor of Method Black. And honestly, Gorecki has been doing a really good job of his mana so far. He's been trading his trinket on cooldown. I think his team has been doing a good job of kind of shutting down these mana rifts as best they can. But every single time Gorecki gets caught out of form in these stuns, not only does the mana rift hit, it also means there's a ton of damage. Because the Frost Death Knight, he doesn't just have 2 targets in those situations, he has 3 targets. And it's looking really rough for Gorecki here. They don't really have counter pressure. Mana is starting to wane now that he doesn't have his trinket. And Method Black might have just come in with a genius pick here.
Yeah, I think so too. They're just going to be able to out-cleave Gosu crew to the ground, really. And they have that mana and win condition as well. But at the same time, huge touch of Death Go onto Raikou right now. Forced to use his Blur and Rain from above. That was actually incredibly close. And this is why you can't really count out the Gosu crew, because all it takes is one go. We saw it against Aztech earlier on as well. One go onto Mimpoike, and they get completely 100-0. It nearly happened just now onto Raikou, and he escapes by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, and then they even used residual damage onto Chaz and almost killed him. That was a huge play there from the Gosu crew. And this Windwalker, especially when combined with the Guardian Druid, can just put out so much burst. Raikou almost falling over there. I think he lived on about 5% health. Super, super close call there for Method Black, but they do survive it. And now I feel like that was one of the best opportunities the Gosu crew had. See, that cooldown is even longer against the Frost Death Knight. The Touch of Death over 2 minutes needed for that cooldown to come back. Now, 3 minutes into the game, Gorecki's running out of mana. He uses his final trinket potentially of the game here. They need to survive till that next Touch of Death, I think, because Raikou playing that Relentless, if they can just get an Iron Bark down, they could potentially find one of those gimmicky kills that they need to take this game to game 5.
Yeah, hopefully they can force out either that Rain from Above or Blur beforehand as well, because those are very big cooldowns to get away from the Gosu crew and pretty much survive. But like you said, he's playing with that Relentless, and maybe they can just 100-0 in some chain stuns and get the kill. But Gorecki literally getting completely tapped on mana, uses that Innovate. He has to defensively bash Raikou now, but they're going for an offensive go as well, but it was kind of, a bit too defensive, and they get the Iron Bark off onto Raikou. He's chasing down Gorecki, and I don't think Gorecki is really going to be able to get a drink on this map with Raikou chasing him down.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Dalaran, I mean, they picked the map in anticipation of like a Mage Warlock or anticipation maybe of a Rogue Mage, but Method Black just has a bit of everything, They have the melee cleaves for the smaller maps, and this is looking great for them. Now Gorecki completely dry on mana. You can see his blue bar almost expired, meaning that he will struggle to heal for the rest of this game. Meanwhile, though, we can see that Touch of Death, the ticking time bomb, is up in 20 seconds for Chun-Li. That will be the Gosu crew's last chance, potentially, to get into this fight, but Gorecki almost dying in yet another stun.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they can make it. The boxing comes out from Gorecki. He is completely out of mana and doesn't have the bear form, heals to come out either. So I'm just not sure if they're going to make it and go to live that long. But now they have the Touch of Death. Will Chun-Li pop the trigger? They need lockdown onto Raikou, but a stun onto Gorecki. This could very well be the game here. He gets his bear form off. Nice Ring of Peace to peel, but I'm just not sure if it's going to be enough. Swapsy is connecting. Nice defensive dash as well, coming out from Gorecki. Just about living. I can't believe he's living right now. Great peels are coming out from the Gosu crew, but again, another Blinding Sleet into Mana Rift, gonna give him no mana to work with, and they're running out of time.
Yeah, they're running out of time. They need to make something happen now. The game is lost unless they get a kill in the next minute or so, I would say. Chun-Li needs to find something. Obviously, he's been doing a fantastic job of peeling, but when you peel with your stuns, you don't have them for the kill. Touch of Death is active. Who's it on? It looks like Chaz was the target, but there's just no stuns. There's nothing to lock him down. Chaz just walks away from the situation, and now Gorecki inevitably, surely, is going to end up dying here. Raikou in pursuit. Thugonomics trying to put out damage of his own. Chun-Li with the Touch of Karma. I feel like this is a situation we've been familiar with on the ladder, Joe, where the Druid is just and seemingly out of options.
Yeah, exactly. There's plenty times you meet Death Knight, Demon Hunter Druid, and you're just kind of not sure what to do. You're out of mana, out of time, and just have such a big mountain to climb. And I don't really blame Chun-Li right then, trying to use his Touch of Death to reverse the pressure, but now he is just a liability himself. He has no defensive cooldowns. Gorecki is using his own defensive cooldowns to try and survive with what he has. They're trying to reverse the pressure on the Raikou, but he literally just jumps up and away from pressure, and Chun-Li getting cleaved down by Swapsy, and it's only a matter of time before they take him out.
Yeah, I mean, one of these players is going to die, surely. Dampening at 10%, but that's not the story. Mana is the story. Gorecki has nothing left. Chun-Li has nothing left. Swapsy, because he's on that Frost specialization of the Death Knight, he's actually able to lock down Chun-Li way better than a lot of other classes can as well. But Gorecki is going to be the person to fall here. That's a really nice leap up onto the second platform, and the Innovate actually comes up, but they purge it immediately. Very nicely done by Raikou. That was the last ditch. The Battle Master falls. Does Gorecki fall? Actually, the Innovate's still up there. It was a little glitch with the UI showing that as off, but doesn't look like he's able to get any spells out with it. He's sitting in stealth right now. Desperation, but kind of ingenious. If he manages to get away, get a little drink here, that would be fantastic. Maybe they can fight back into this fight game.
I mean, the fact that they're still alive at this point is beyond insane. The peels from the Gosu crew to live at this point has been nuts. So well played. And I think it was actually smart by Gorecki just to stay in stealth, because he was regenerating mana and just not being a vulnerability to the mana rift. Now he can trinket out, have a slight bit of mana to work. I mean, it's insane that they lived this long, but at the same time, no pressure is really rolling for them. Method Black has all the momentum in the world. They force that Touch of Karma once again, as well as Gorecki's trinket. They are trying to just keep him locked down and just try and do as much pressure as he can. Ironbug once again being forced out from Goreki, but Chun-Li has nothing. He gets caught into a bash. He pre-diffused magics it though, so Swapsy won't be able to kill him off.
Yeah, Greg is a little bit of a legend, still being alive. I can't believe he's actually survived until another touch of death. So the Gosu crew might even have an opportunity. Chaz's mana is low. I mean, it's hard to say that they could even fight back into this game because they're just dead the entire time. But somehow, some way, they're still alive. This is the rain from above from Raikou. After that expires, I actually think the touch of death could be devastating from Chun-Li. He needs to go for it though because they don't have any time left in this game. Greki going for one tick of mana. He's able to find a re-stealth, stuns Chaz, but I think he's going to fall here. There's the disorienting roar, the last line of defense from Thugonomics on that Guardian Druid. He's still alive, Joe, somehow, some way.
I can't believe he's still alive. Surely he's going to go down now. Nice double Lexi from Chun-Li. They both trinket here. They desperately want to kill Goreki. They've had enough. He's been living far too long because no other druid would live that long. I can't believe that they were able to survive. Well played for the Gosu crew. They weren't able to, tie things up. But again, Method Black showing exactly just how dominant they are, winning with 3 different compositions.
Yeah, that series is actually way better than I remember it. And I think the reason I was not giving it credit in my head is because this series dwarfed it. This next series is an absolute treat. We've saved the best till last. Cloud9 versus Wildcard Gaming. That was a really good series. Obviously, Method Black made it through to the upper finals with that one. Which was obviously broadcast at BlizzCon, so that's done with unbroadcasted games for those guys. But this next series was probably the best series, certainly the best of the unbroadcasted ones, and I would make an argument that it was potentially the best series of the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this series kind of set tone for the entire tournament. So we're gonna be in here for a treat as well. I feel like I love these matchups because they're so volatile. Both teams can play defensively well. Both teams need to play defensively and offensively well during the entire matchup, which can go into quite deep dampening or can literally be ended in 2 minutes.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Maro is actually playing the Greater Pyroblast. That was one of the adaptations he made from Summer Finals, where Cloud9 won this matchup. They won 3-1 against Wildcard Gaming. And the way they started winning the match was just by, in deep dampening, tunneling down Blizzo and ignoring the Fire Mage, just hoping that he wouldn't deal enough damage. So obviously with Greater Pyroblast, suddenly you need to respect that Fire Mage. He is a very scary prospect with that, and he's already starting to cast those spells, forcing out interrupts, and that enables Looney to get even more aggressive.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, Cloud9 facing Wildcard Gaming in the Summer Finals, and we're actually able to best them with their Rogue Mage Druid. So it's going to be interesting to see if Wildcard Gaming can now turn back the series, or if Cloud9 will just kind of repeat history. And another adaptation choice I've seen is Looney's actually opted to play with that Relentless talent, so he's actually going to set out the blind, and I think it's a good move. And they're basically relying on Blizzo's War Banner to just keep Looney safe and to kind of diminish those blind goes, using it so the sap is on DI. Now they're going for their own offensive go, paralysis onto Cubsy, but Cloud9 are also a defensively very sound team, so it's going to be difficult for either team to get offensive pressure.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we see once again Life Cocoon coming out early, and the Life Cocoon from the Windwalker Monk from the Mistweaver Monk is really, really powerful defensive cooldown. It's one of the only things I think they have that actually makes them good against mages, because other than that, they just kind of get caught up in crowd control all the time. So Looney has been min-maxing that cooldown super well. They actually have really good counter pressure here onto Snuts, and Maro has been one of the best at landing counter spells onto healers. He gets a huge one there. They follow it up with the intimidating stun, and because of this, it's not possible for Snuts to play super aggressively. He has to dodge and evade and use his vanish defensively. All these things are bad news for Cloud9, as they are yet to force an ice block in the early stages of this game.
Yeah, they get to force that, and they actually have forced Snuts' evasion, Cloak of Shadows right now, and Vanish as well. So Wildcard Game have actually forced all of Snuts' defensive arsenal right now, so he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And as you can see, going to force him to go behind pillars, kind of kite away until he gets those defensive cooldowns back, because without those, he is definitely a liability. And like you were talking about with that Life Cocoon being a very good cooldown, it is very strong. And the reason why it's so strong in these matchups is because all Maro and Blizzard need to do is kind of stop any kind of crowd control chain onto Looney to give him that global to Life Cocoon, and then all of a sudden that go is just kind of diminished from the power of the Life Cocoon. So, and with players such as Blizzo and Maro, they're definitely going to be looking and probably be successful with locking down those chain crowd controls onto Looney.
Yeah, certainly that is going to be the case. So let's see how they do it here. Looney, once he's in, he's just in good positioning. He's got Mara to protect him. He's got Blizzo to protect him. Blizzo's actually really prioritizing damage onto Snuts, and you can't blame him because they force so many defensive cooldowns. But typically in the past, they've gone after Wealthy Man. So it's certainly curious to see that they are prioritizing the Rogue, because ultimately we've seen it before that Assassination Rogues, they can drop low and all that, but oftentimes it's just a bit of a bait. They have, the sprint. They have so many different tools they can use to kite this warrior, especially with a Frost Mage backing them up with snares. So let's see if Blizzo's actually able to get the uptime on Snuts. So far, since Snuts used all his defensive cooldowns, he's basically avoided taking any damage. I guess it works in favor of both teams, but as dampening gets deeper and deeper, I think Cloud9 probably are happy to see that.
Yeah, I think Cloud9 are just, basing it off the summer finals when they're able to go into dampening and take the series against Wildcard Gaming. But at the same time, Wealthy Man actually dropping very low. They were able to get crowd control onto Cubsy. Blizzo trying to connect, but Wealthy Man is such a good mage as well, being able to kite with his team. And I feel like that's why Blizzo has been resorting to going onto Snuts, because they just couldn't seem to, really connect or finish off Wealthy Man during the summer LAN. But at the same time, Snuts is doing an excellent job kiting. So it will be interesting to see who Wildcard Gaming goes for deeper into dampening. Right now, they connect onto Snuts, though, forcing out the Iron Bark. Super low on HP once again, but is able to get away because of nice sheeps on Blizzo coming out from Wealthy Man.
Yeah, really nice stuff there from Wildcard Gaming, swapping it up. They go after Wealthy Man, almost get a kill. They committed their Maldics to that push, though, so they'll have felt a little bit bad, I think, to have not got the Ice Block there, but then they go back onto Snuts, get pressure on both sides. Now it's Cloud9 looking for aggression. They get the blind onto Looney, but there's no follow-up crowd control. They're unable to land a Sap or a Sheep, meaning that Maru is going to sit through this fine. Now they have triple crowd control. This is big damage potentially. Greater Power Blast comes in onto Wealthy Man. He doesn't use the Ice Block, and he ends up dying. The fabulous WMX is on the ground here in game one. That was a beautiful cross crowd control. I think Cubsy maybe made the call he was going to trinket there, because you can see he used his trinket at the end of that fear, but just so much damage. Greater Pyroblast, Joe, is a scary ability.
Yeah, exactly. You can't really out-heal a greater Pyroblast unless you're really ready for it. So, they kind of got caught out with that. I would have loved to. I understand the trinket trade from Cubsy, but at the same time, just about the wrong moment to make it, because, no one really expects it from Wildcard Gaming, but they have this so much burst in these short little windows, which is exactly why they're able to just, catch Cloud9 off guard right there. So excellent win for Wildcard Gaming, and right now an excellent start as well. Blizzo catching a triple fit onto Cloud9, but once again, Wealthy Man being a slippery mage.
Yeah, certainly the thing is, like, when you take a game like that, when the players are so good on both sides and both of them playing such good compositions, it's a case of like confidence and momentum in this series actually start to add up a lot for the competitors. So Wealthy Man now, maybe he would go for kind of like brave holds on Ice Block in future. Now he's going to be second guessing those decisions. He might use Ice Blocks a little bit faster because he doesn't want to go down without one twice. So that's going to be something kind of lingering on the minds of Cloud9. Meanwhile, Wildcard Gaming, if you guys know these players, they get so into it. They really feel the crowd, or I guess they feel themselves a little bit when they do well in these tournaments. So getting that early win against Cloud9 is going to feel fantastic for them. Let's see if they can convert it into a quick series.
Yeah, we already see a nice wall banner coming out from Blizzo, kind of just diffusing that blind go once again from Cloud9. And like you say, I definitely feel, I've had the pleasure to play with Looney as well as Blizzo and Mara, and Looney especially rides off momentum like no one else. As soon as he wins those games, he is so excited and he screams so loud, he's just in the opponent's head. So, he rides off momentum beautifully, this guy, and you have to really knock them down, I would say, from the upper bracket in order to kind of mess with their minds, because not even taking the game is going to be enough. You just have to completely take the series, otherwise they're just going to completely dominate.
Yeah, and this series is not over yet. Cloud9 are not going to go down without fighting their case here. They've been such a good team throughout the year, defending spring and summer finals champions, and they've been showing signs of life in the early stages of this game. They've had good opportunities. Obviously, their main goal, I think, with the Rogue Mage Druid is to kind of find little ways to force mana and force cooldowns on Looney, but ultimately, if they can just kind of shut down Mara and Blizzo's offense in the early stages of the game, they're going to be able to find wins because of how slippery those two classes are, right? Like we saw Blizzo try and attack Wealthy Man, unable to catch him, and then try and attack Snuts, unable to catch him. If that goes till deep dampening, the Cloud9 can basically just win the game by avoiding damage, and that's kind of what they've been one of the best teams at doing. I think their Rogue Mage Druid, above all others, just plays this kind of strategic game of like, hey, we're going to not be flashy, we're just going to play this deep dampening style. They've been one of the best at that throughout the year.
Yeah, I definitely feel like, at least against Wildcard Gaming, their defensive play as the Rogue Mage Druid is the best, because usually Wildcard Gaming are able to force ice blocks very, very quickly, and we've seen, obviously they didn't force the ice block last game, but they won, but in general, against the European teams, they're able to force it very quickly, so Cloud9 play this really well defensively, and I have to give credit to, I think, like the whole team, to Kai Blizzard, because not only does he have Bladestorm Avatar to get out of those Novas, as well as the Gnome Racial, Looney is playing Tiger's Nest as well. So that's so many root removals on quite a low cooldown, yet Blizzard is still struggling to maintain uptime onto Wealthy Man.
Yeah, he's really struggling to get uptime, but they do have good cross-crowd control, and they're actually going to go after Snuts because Wealthy Man is kiting very, very well. Defensive blind coming in from Snuts, and they're really playing to that kind of deep dampening condition. You can tell when they're starting to throw their blinds out defensively. I still feel like I'd like to see them kind of go for offense in the early stages of the game, but they clearly don't feel the same way. We see the intimidating shout coming in onto two targets, but again, slippery Wealthy Man is getting away. They really just need to connect to him. You can see what happens when they connect to him. That's how they won game one so quickly, but he's going to be dropping very, very low here. Maybe he's going to trade out the ice block. He's being really brave to hold on to it, but he's not unnerved by the first game. He's able to hold on to that cooldown, trusting Cubsy with the Ironbark.
Yeah, that's good to see. It will be, it's kind of just as bad, almost, to kind of prematurely waste an ice block. You don't want to be a cooldown behind just because of previous game experience. So I like that they keep it level-headed, and I've definitely got to say Cloud9 have level-headed players on their team. But now we see Mara getting a nice Dragon's Breath into Ring of Frost on Cubsy, Warband as well from Blizzard. They're trying to play aggressive right now, trying to force that ice block from Wealthy Man, but once again, he's doing excellent kiting, and also Cubsy now using that trinket to keep him stabilized. And Mara again, once, like you said, he's playing with that Greater Pirates, and this is actually forcing now Snuts and Wealthy Man to swap their attention onto Mara.
Yeah, and that's exactly where they want it, right? Like Blizzo, if he's not getting targeted, then there's going to be sometimes, maybe he doesn't have a snare on him or something. He's actually able to play the game way more. So Blizzo, you can see right now, for example, he's actually not in any snares. He's getting good uptime, and that is what Wildcard Gaming need in this one. So Mara, if he can take that attention, it's fantastic for the side. But Cloud9, once again, they've been doing a really good job rotating. They still haven't used a single ice block in this game. Snuts is rotating through his cooldowns, and Cubsy, importantly, still has full mana as we approach dampening. So this game is still going really, really well, I would say, for Cloud9 as they look to tie up the series here between them and Wildcard Gaming. Let's see if they are able to do it, though. Once again, Mara using the combustion. Big damage here onto Snuts as they overlap the crowd control slightly. Cubsy doesn't have a trinket for this one. Snuts is low on defensive cooldowns, gets caught up in the smoke bomb there, actually defensively using that on himself. Now the invasion rotating back up. They looked for a counter kill there on Mara, and that actually might have been what kept them in the fight there, because that was a scary situation for Snuts.
Yeah, it was a scary situation for Snuts and, well, for both teams. I mean, Mara was dropping very low, but he has all those defensive cooldowns as well. Scary situation for Snuts using that evasion now, so he won't have access to that, which may prompt Blizzo to kind of just tunneling him down, know that Snuts can't really escape from the damage. But meanwhile, Wealthy Man kind of taking it right now, getting very low, but he has distance away from Blizzo, who's going to use that Stormball right now to connect onto Wealthy Man, that escape ice as well, to try and just keep him onto Wealthy Man, trying to get as much pressure as possible, but he seems to be struggling to do this. And I have to give props to both healers as well, especially Looney, to keep his mana this high and healthy without really going for too many drink opportunities has been, and isn't really a good matchup for him to heal against. He's doing a very good job.
Yeah, he certainly is. Now let's have a little kind of stock of the core and say, well, actually, Wealthy Man's just taking an incredible amount of damage once again. This is kind of what Wildcard Gaming have been looking for in these games. They're trying to find like long crowd control chains on Cubsy. I don't think it's easy without the Assassination Rogue, but Looney's been doing an excellent job. That's a really good leg sweep there onto Cubsy and Wealthy Man, but Wealthy Man able to walk out of that one. Maro taking a fair bit of damage as well. There's a good counterspell onto Looney. The Life Cocoon isn't available right now, but I mean, Maro he always seems to have perfect blazing barriers, perfect temporal shields. Every single time when you watch how he uses those cooldowns, it's only when Looney's in crowd control, and it always seems to just about keep him alive.
Yeah, I agree. I think he has very good defensive cooldowns. This is what makes them such good players at their specs. It feels like every time they use an ability on their bar, especially their cooldowns, it doesn't get put to waste. So this is why they're so good at their respective specs. But right now we see Maro drop into half HP, and again, Looney using that cocoon very well on his HP. And whilst he's doing that, he's going to try and look for a drink, but Cubsy seems to be kind of all over there, going to stop Looney from drinking and maintain that mana lead as we're going into nearly 20% dampening.
Yeah, 20% dampening. So now it's really going to add up for the two teams. Cubsy, what are you going to do? Is he going to be able to keep his team aggressive for long enough that they can find this reversal? Because we do think that dampening is the win condition for Rogue Mage Druid. It's certainly tough for them in the early stages, but now they're starting to commit blinds aggressively again. You can see that they're actually going for kills over onto Maro. There's no follow-up though. Once again, the Vanish comes through, but it's too late to land the sap. Really nicely defended there by Wildcard Gaming. Because of that Vanish came in late, there's again no sheep, no sap over onto Looney, and they're able to stay in the fight. Life Cocoon's rotating back up, and they are the ones that can look to get aggressive again, but Mara is struggling. The Life Cocoon comes through, but that's happy times for Snuts as he's just going to retreat. He's going to be happy to have forced out that cooldown. 23% dampening for Cloud9. It's just a case of avoiding damage, keeping Cubsy's mana high, and going for those burst opportunities with the kidney shots, but the G-Pie connects out of the sheep. Very nice setup there from Maro as he's able to force some damage and maybe get some pressure again onto Snuts.
Yeah, Maro's been playing this game excellent. He's just able to try to pretty much diffuse all their offensive situations as well as create offensive ones in themselves. But Cloud9 do have a significant lead on that mana, and I don't think Looney's going to be able to drink. So unless Wildcard Gaming can get something offensively set up soon, then it looks like Cloud9 will be taking this. They have access to all of their defensive arsenals once again, but a Storm will go onto Snuts. They're blowing him up so much pressure, forcing out the Iron Bark right now from Cubsy in order to stabilize. But with 30% dampening, he's really struggling to top him off, having to trinket out of that fear once again. Still trying to heal Snuts and forcing out that Cloak of Shadows.
Yeah, this is starting to look really good for Wildcard Gaming. I think this is the sort of period of dampening where they're at their most scary. They're not quite at the point where Blizzo's going to fall over, and they're at the point, therefore, that he can just play really aggressive. But you can start to see both sides really struggling here. Cubsy's mana's been fantastic, but they forced out his trinket now. There's still no Vanish on Snuts. There's definitely opportunities. Good counterspell, though, coming in from Wealthy Man as they look to get the kill on Blizzo. He's struggling in terms of health, but he does still have all of his defensive cooldowns. The Die by the Sword, the Rallying Cry, Greater Pyroblast coming in because Maro is free to cast. He's been doing a great job in these sheep battles between him and Wealthy Man. And if he can continue to do that, then Snuts is just going to keep eating these Greater Pyroblasts. But a good Cyclone from Cubsy, recognizing there's no counterspell, means that they now have a great situation where Maro's out the game and Blizzo is going to have to go for a run.
Yeah, he is. The Vendetta gets popped onto Blizzo. Surprised no Die by the Sword been used just yet, but Looney comes out of crowd control, uses that cocoon. So well played by Wildcard Gaming to hold on to that Die by the Sword. He also has the Avatar ratio trait as well to give him an absorb, and that also gets counter pressure onto Snuts, forcing out the evasion. So now there could also be a kill opportunity onto Snuts. No Cloak of Shadows, no evasion, but he will have that Cloak of Shadows in 40 seconds. Can they get the kill, Adrian?
Yeah, that's the question. Blizzo struggling so hard. Looney was actually helping him an incredible amount during that evasion. He was like, ring a PC. He was like, here, Blizzo, here, have your food. But Snuts denies the opportunity. That's a great dive by the sword preemptively on the stun, but Snuts actually steps behind to still land that kidney shot. Beautiful plays, honestly, by both players in that situation. That's one of the reasons this series is such a joy to watch, because all 6 players just play fantastically well the entire time. Now we see the Ring of Frost onto Cubsy. Good crowd control, but Snuts is kiting. Blizzo also kiting mana in favor of Cloud9. 40% healing reduction for both of these teams. Now we're starting to get into the realms of Cloud9 being favored in this matchup. There's no die by the sword for Blizzo. The hit and run strategy from Snuts is what they need to look for. Sheep's coming in to try deny, but you can see Blizzo struggling to stay stable on health. An intimidating shout comes in, but Wealthy Man has both ice blocks. Snuts has that Cloak of Shadows back up, and it's starting to look really good here in game 2 for Cloud9.
Yeah, it looks like Cloud9 can swing things back against Wildcard Gaming, because Blizzard doesn't have that die by the sword. He's just going to be a sitting duck right now, and Cloud9 can't wait to take him out. Looney actually preemptively cocoons that smoke bomb. Well played by Looney, but unfortunately Cocoon isn't doing as much healing right now. 44% dampening, going to reduce a ton of that healing, a ton of that absorb from that live Cocoon, and Looney's going to have to just heal Blizzard back to full, taxing a ton of mana, and Blizzard actually having to mount up to reconnect right now. He was just sitting behind, make sure he gets topped off so that he won't die to the next kidney shot, which is happening now. Kidney shot back onto Blizzard. No crowd control onto Looney. He's trying to free cast healing, but he is running out of mana, and Wildcard Gaming are running out of time.
Yeah, they're really starting to struggle here. 48% healing reduction. I mean, it does affect both sides. Obviously, you can see Snuts having to run way more, but this is exactly how Snuts should play it. I feel like he's frustrating Looney. He's staying away from Blizzard, and every single time he has a kidney shot, because Blizzard's running that relentless gnome, it means that he can 100% safely go for 4 seconds of damage, and then he can go back to running. And because of that, like, look at it, it's Nuts, even though it's 50% damage healing reduction, he's just not really taking enough damage for them to get the kill. Now the Stormbolt comes through, but Vanish is available, Evasion's available, and he can use this Evasion to get very aggressive if he so pleases. I'd love to see him do it. In fact, there's the blind. Now Blizzo's the one on the run, but he's not going to be able to run away from this assassination. Rogue will see a Greater Power Blast connect, but it was fainted, I do believe, by Snuts. I'm not exactly sure why he didn't take damage from that. Maybe it was the Vanish actually able to mitigate that, but suddenly, because of that Greater Power Blast being vanished, Snuts is again the player with no defensive cooldowns. This game is going down to the wire.
Yeah, Blizzard actually only needs 25 seconds to get that die by the sword. He still has the Rallying Cry, and Snuts has the one with no defensive cooldowns right now. Full Stormbolt onto him, but Blizzard gets sucked back from a Vortex. Now he gets Trinket and put into a kidney shot. Cyclone onto Looney as well. They're trying to reverse the pressure onto Blizzard. They're trying to take a kill, but he's going to have that die by the sword very soon.
Yeah, he's going to have that die by the sword so soon. Snuts, though, doesn't have anything. He's on the run. This could be the kill. It's looking for a 2-0 here in favor of Wildcard Gaming. Are they going to be able to find it? Cubsy has all of his cooldowns, or all of his crowd control chain. He just doesn't able to get out of it, doesn't have the trinket, and Snuts ends up falling here. Wildcard Gaming are able to take a 2-0 advantage in this series, meaning they are 1 game away from playing against Method Black in the upper finals.
That was actually really interesting, because they came from a position that looked like kind of their demise, but all of a sudden they got Evasion, Vanish, and Cloak of Shadows from Snuts. So well played from Wildcard Gaming to take what was looking like a dire situation, and now they are 2-0 up against Cloud9, against this monster team who are still sticking to their guns, still playing with that Rogue Mage Druid as well. So maybe they feel like they can kind of clean up some of their defensive plays and try and win into dampening against Wildcard Gaming. But as we saw, I mean, it took 57% dampening for either team to get a kill, so it's going to be a tricky one for Cloud9.
Yeah, it certainly is, and of course, because they did manage to win that, they are now in a huge lead in this series for Cloud9. I feel like that game was looking great for them for such a long time. There was just a couple of turning points where maybe a Greater Power Blast too many landed, or they had to overlap too many defensive cooldowns, so it just kind of flipped on its head. But now, obviously, we can take a little bit of time to chill. As you said, it took 58% dampening to separate the two teams on the last map. So Cloud9, they need to kind of reconsider. And I think one of the things I'd love to see them do a little bit more as we go into game 3 here is, instead of using all their blinds kind of defensively at the start of the game, don't bank on just winning at 50% dampening. Go for those early kills, because they can definitely get ice blocks earlier than that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one thing that, is kind of said time and time again is, sometimes your best defense is an offense, and that's kind of what Cloud9 lacks, and something that Method Black have been really, really good at, having those offensive lines, especially if Looney's opting to play the Relentless, they can really cause a lot of damage if they're able to time their crowd control to perfection against Looney and Blizzard and, lock down Mara at the same time. So would definitely like to see that. I definitely understand that the defensive play is kind of a safer bet, but at the same time, if it's not working, then they need to change up something.
Yeah, they certainly do. So we see a double leg sweep coming in here. There's the polymorph as well. So far, one of the other things they could definitely change up is positioning. They need to be really careful with those leg sweeps. But this is huge damage. Wildcard Gaming looking to go 3-0 up in the series, but Snuts actually holds on to every single defensive there. He had everything available and chose to use nothing. So again, good trust between him and his healer. Cubsy making the calls correctly. Mara taking a fair bit of damage. No life cocoon available right now. If they can snag a sheep here, which Wealthy Man's actually going for right now, he jukes the kick from Blizzo, but unfortunately the sheep was onto Blizzo. Maybe DR's not quite up on Looney there. If that had been a full sheep onto Looney, they could have easily forced this ice block. That's what they're looking for right now. Life cocoon coming up very shortly. Do they have any way of forcing it? Smoke bomb is available. They're not actually going for the smoke bomb, and that life cocoon finally does come through for Looney, keeping Mara in the fight.
Yeah, I would have loved to see a smoke bomb. I think that could have maybe potentially forced that ice block if it were to land before the life cocoon did. And we also see Wealthy Man now kind of trunking it, the Iron Bark and the Temporal Shield coming out. So through a window, if they're able to connect onto Wealthy Man, this could be devastation. He actually gets a greater pyro off. The smoke bomb now does come in onto Maro, but they need to get crowd control onto Looney. Otherwise, it's going to top him. A nicely timed Temporal Shield once again from Maro. Cheap shot onto Looney, but they're just unable to get any crowd control due to nice positioning. A beautiful triple fear now coming in from Blizzo. Can they get on the aggression? Looney lands another nice double stun. Wealthy Man taking it right now. He has the ice block, but is somehow holding onto it just for now. No, a half sheep comes out to Cubsy. Can they force that ice block? Surely they can. They're getting so much damage, so much pressure. Nice Stormbolt coming out. Maledicts as well. There, they finally get that ice block. I mean, it took 3 minutes 30 seconds for Wildcard Gaming to get that first ice block, but that's quicker than any other match they got it. So good job by Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, this is the best game they've had so far, certainly. And I mean, when you're 2-0 up in the series, that bodes incredibly well for you. That first ice block being down is great. Mana isn't looking too bad either. They've got Cubsy down a little bit, but Looney's is sitting nice and pretty right now in the early stages. That's actually something we've seen in all the games, because Looney, to be honest, like since he's caught up in crowd control quite often in this game, it means that he doesn't really have to spend too much mana. We see more greater Pyroblast coming crashing in here. Mara is able to connect one. Wealthy Man lines the second. Very nicely done by him to play that defensive style. But Cubsy, he's got the Innovate up. He's behind on mana. His mage is down one ice block. This is not looking good for Cloud9 here in this situation. Looney sitting in the back line, and once again, they're kind of resorting to defense. Cubsy's going for drinks. Wealthy Man is sitting on the opposite side of the map from Looney. That's really nice, though. The Flame Strike did miss, so Cubsy's going to be able to sit down for a drink, but it's just so much damage coming in. There's so much onto Wealthy Man. Iron Bark comes through. Trinket as well from Cubsy. If he gets caught up in a sheep, then this could be the second ice block, and that would just be disastrous for Cloud9.
They actually land a leg sweep, but it looks like Cubsy was able to top off Wealthy Man just before it. They land that Ring of Frost, though, so he could still go down, although that Temporal Shield well-timed from Wealthy Man. So a great defensive play coming in from Cloud9. But as you said, if they do too much defense, they may lack the offensive pressure they need in order to take down Wildcard Gaming. And we see them trying to turn their pressure onto Mara now instead of Blizzo, who doesn't have the Temporal Shield, but still has that safety net of the ice block. And as we can see, both healers still doing great on mana. Even though Cubsy was able to drink, Looney still has quite a lot of mana to work with just as dampening kicks in.
Yeah, he certainly does. Looney's looking fantastic in this game. Cubsy doesn't have his trinket right now, so the next push with that intimidating shout from Blizzo, which is up in about 30 seconds, could easily be the second ice block. They might not even need it. They force the Iron Bark without, they force the Temporal Shield without. Now comes the Stormbolt, but there's no Polymorph to follow up, so Looney's going to have to follow up with the Incap instead, but obviously it's a way shorter cooldown. They force the CS on Frost though, so Maro can do damage freely with his fire score. He gets the sheep over on onto Snuts, but there's no crowd control on Cubsy. So importantly, Wealthy Man does hold on to that second ice block here. Now they're looking to reverse the pressure. Mara dropping low. There's the Blazing Barrier and the Life Cocoon coming through in between the Cyclones. So nicely done by Wildcard Gaming, but Cubsy answers it with a low Cyclone of his own. If they can land a sheep here, they could potentially force that ice block onto Wildcard Gaming, but it's actually Cubsy who gets caught up in the polymorph. These teams going back and forth, but Wildcard Gaming have looked better in this game.
Yeah, they have looked bad, dropping Wealthy Man extremely low on HP. Nice double fear coming out from Blizzard. All 6 of these players are playing so well right now, I have to say. You can see why both these teams are just 2 of the favorites to win BlizzCon right now. We see Blizzard trying to chunk down Wealthy Man, but he's going to be fine on HP. Actually hold on to his concept, but they chunk him down so much with that avatar play right now. At the same time, Maro taking quite a bit of damage, having to use that temporal shield to kind of deter the situation. Nice storm on the Cubsy. Will they be able to get anything off? It looks like he's unable to get that Ring of Frost due to a nice kidney shot from Snuts.
Yeah, and this is a huge reversal here coming in from Snuts and Cloud9, almost taking down Maro, or at least forcing out his potentially his Cauterize. They weren't quite able to do it again because of that Life Cocoon there. And this combination from Looney of the Relentless plus the Life Cocoon plus how well Mara is using his Temporal Shield and all those cooldowns just seems to be so hard for Cloud9 to actually get the kill or even get those significant cooldowns. But this is looking good. That's a beautiful step kick from Snuts. And finally, the Playmaker shows up here at BlizzCon, getting the Ice Block with a really nice play there on the Rogue.
Yeah, that was an excellent step kick, and this is the kind of offensive plays we wanted to see from Cloud9 in order for them to just get those defensive cooldowns so that they can force Wildcard Gaming to be in a more defensive and a weaker position. So love to see it coming out from Cloud9, forcing that ice block this deep into dampening. Mara is definitely going to be a kill target, and now the Warband are actually coming out to defuse the situation and the crowd control on Looney. However, that does mean that when the blind comes back, they could potentially set up a kill potential if they don't have Warbanner or Trinket for a blind sap go as well as the ice block. So Cloud9, they're definitely going to want to make something happen with that blind.
Yeah, they definitely need to. And I mean, they're in a perfect position right now. Like, they've got the defensive cooldown. Snuts has basically everything available right now. And more importantly, dampening's at about 20%. So this is the sort of area where they can get Mara to maybe 80-70% before they use that blind. And then they can basically guarantee the kill. Like, look right now, for example, they're forcing out Temporal Shield with just pure damage. This is exactly the kind of condition and criteria that Cloud9 need to set up that blind sap win condition. Let's see if they're able to do it. Kidney Shot comes in. They're looking to force maybe a Life Cocoon or something like that. If they can get more of these little cooldowns, they could potentially go for the kill, but they're actually just going to go for it. Here comes the Sheep, potentially from Wealthy Man, but off-kicked by Blizzo. Very nicely done by him, but now full counterspell onto Looney as they continue to push their advantage.
Ooh, a nice sheep onto Mara during that Ring of Frost onto Cubsy. It would have been halfway due to paralysis, but he's still going to get that crowd control as they try to burst down Snuts right now. Mara doing a ton of damage by himself, but now here's the blind onto Looney. They really need to get a kill from this. They land the full sheep, but they don't have the pressure right now. There's the Vendetta coming in onto Mara. He has the Temporal Shield, but it needs to proc off. He's getting super low on HP. They chain the sheeps onto Looney. He just about gets a cocoon once again onto Maro, but Looney still has a lot of work to get the healing up and top off Maro. But I thought this was going to be the kill go coming out from Cloud9, so well played by Wildcard Gaming to survive this go. Yeah,
and it was such a nice fear from Blizzo there as well. He landed, I think it was a triple fear, but certainly stuck on 2 on the entirety of Cloud9. So perfect shutdown on the crowd control chain, because as you say, that was the push for Cloud9. That was where they were meant to win this game if the script were to go the way that it was meant to, but still so much pressure. Cloud9 really finding their element in game 3 of the series. So much damage on Maro, no Life Cocoon available. Smoke Bomb comes in. They're desperately looking and scrapping to try find this kill. In the meantime, Maro snags crowd control onto Cubsy, looking for reversal on Snuts, but Snuts does have his defensives at his disposal. Looney, Life Cocoon's up in 3 seconds. It doesn't look like there's enough crowd control to quite finish the job here on Maro. That was another beautiful push from Cloud9, but again, both these teams respecting each other and answering perfectly as dampening continues to stack up.
Yeah, and Snuts is just caught in this devastating position where he is being tunneled down. They are getting a ton of pressure, but he needs to keep playing aggressive. So I definitely understand why he's playing defensive, but at the same time, he's doing an excellent job offensively this game, forcing out the live cocoon once again from Mara. The kind of low clone came out a little bit too late, but at the same time, Cubsy is just on point with these cyclones every time during the live cocoons. Stormbolt onto Cubsy right now. They need to try and chain that crowd control, but they're unable to. So Cubsy goes for a bash onto Looney, which instantly gets human ratioed because he is really struggling to keep Mara alive just from the raw pressure of Snuts and Wealthy Man.
Yeah, I mean, mana is a huge problem for Looney now. It's quite frankly, it's a problem on both sides, but Cubsy's actually sitting down for a drink because he knows his team has defensives. Meanwhile, Looney, he just doesn't have any options left in this one. I think Cloud9, this increased offense that they've had in this game has been so much better because now, instead of reaching 50% dampening where Wildcard still has options, they're reaching 40% dampening where Looney has no mana. He's struggling to even keep Mara in the fight before crowd control lands, and now there's a full blind. There's going to be a sap off of this, most likely. War bannered though by Blizzo. Really nice play from him, but I just feel like Looney doesn't have enough in the tank to secure this one. Life Cocoon comes through, but it's shattered immediately at this level of dampening. It's going to do nothing to the onslaught of Cloud9 and Cubsy. If you can just push in, get a couple of Cyclones, they will secure the match with it.
Yeah, although Mara does have that ice for cauterize again, but like you say, Looney having no mana, if he's unable to top off Marrow, then they won't be able to survive for much longer, and it looks like that's exactly going to happen. He used that Manatee to catch a few Vivify heals, which, costs 0 mana, so good play by Looney there, trying to delay the Ice Block usage as much as possible. He's desperately trying to get off a drink, but I just don't know if it's going to happen. There's the Ice Block, overlapped a bit with the Ring of Peace, but don't really blame them for that. They just need to do what they can, but the Battle Master falls off as well. I think at any moment, Marrow could just go down here. Stormbolt over onto Cubsy, but they just don't have the position to get the crowd control onto him either. Blizzard gets caught into a Cyclone. Marrow super low on HP, but a nicely timed Temporal Shield. Not sure if it's going to matter. Nice Cocoon. He just about gets it back in time. And now Snuts is actually dropping low on HP, having to use that evasion. He does have the Cloak of Shadows, though. Surely they close out onto Marrow right now, but they are being Live Lords. Okay. No, he's actually going down. I can't believe it. The Nova onto Snuts. He's just about surviving.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy wildcard gaming. They don't give away a single game without fighting it to the very teeth. And Snuts also dropping very, very low here. Looks like he's going to be able to get out of this one. He's super low. Mara has died, so it is a 2v3 situation. And it doesn't look like Blizzo will be able to get the connection for the kill. So Cloud9 able to pull through. But I mean, again, this game looks incredibly favored towards Cloud9. And they were pushed to the very limits for that one. Incredibly good stuff by all 6 players on the map. And that is going to bring Cloud9 back into the series. They need 2 more wins here if they are to reverse it against Wildcard Gaming. And again, what a game between the 2 sides.
Yeah, this was an excellent game, and I think I'd like to pinpoint the fact that Snuts actually timed a step kick very well onto Looney, just because it forced out the Ice Block. Now, when a Fire Mage doesn't have that Ice Block, they all of a sudden don't have that safety net, which allows them to play aggressively. So, which is what really contributed to Wildcard Gaming winning. So, this is why we want to see Cloud9 play for those offensive games, because if they're able to force those defensive cooldowns and get that Ice Block out of the way, that it just looks very good for them in order to win this matchup.
Yep, so let's see how they can do it here. This is game 4. I mean, Blade's Edge as well has been one of those notorious maps that Wildcard Gaming has loved playing in this matchup. It's I think they changed my mind a couple of tournaments on this one, even Method Black a couple of times. So this is a map that they love to go to. But in the early stages, you can see it's certainly working out for them. Wealthy Man, the Temporal Shield comes out early. They're able to survive that one. It looked really scary, but I think Cubsy's Trinket was probably the main reason they were able to stay in the fight there. And now Blizzo, it looks like he's the main target early on rather than Maro, which I'm surprised to see because it looked like Cloud9 had a really good game attacking Maro last time around.
Yeah, I mean, I think so as well. I feel like going after Marrow has definitely helped swing the favors for Cloud9, but I guess maybe they just kind of want that dampening game again, where they want to get into dampening, and they feel like their best way is just kind of locking down Blizzo, keeping him in crowd control. Well, keeping Marrow in crowd control and just tunneling down Blizzo so he's unable to create pressure onto the Major, onto the Druid, and has to solely focus onto the Rogue. But like you said, Wildcard Gaming, they know how to play up this match. And the reason why they like Blade's Edge map is because they have the monk utility. They can ring of peace enemies down. They can teleport up and down as well to get drinks a bit better, or to, change the force of the fight, as well as the Frost Mage not really having any room to kite so much on this bridge, which allows Blizzard to have uptime, create a ton of pressure, and is able to try and get kills onto Wealthy Man early on.
Yeah, and I mean, Blizzard having uptime is basically it's the difference maker, right, for Wildcard Gaming. I mean, Blizzard's such a great guy to talk to. He's so humble. Like, I was talking to him, I can't remember if it was after this series or before this series, but basically he was saying, like, it feels like I'm doing nothing. My team's just carrying me, But trust me when I say this man does a lot, and it's incredible to watch him play. Like, when he has uptime, like in this situation, you can see he's looking for the ice block here early on Wealthy Man. Sheep's coming in. Wealthy Man playing an excellent job to peel for himself there. I feel like after what happened in game 1, I would have been very tempted to just ice block in that situation, but again, he's got the confidence in his play, he knows the limits of his class, and he's able to hold on to that ice block.
Yeah, I feel like that's just that Wealthy Man Cubsy synergy. I mean, they've been playing since 2015, probably even longer. So they know exactly when to use their defensive cooldowns or not for the most part. Obviously, people make mistakes, but I'm glad that they can keep a level head and just not overlap. And that's going to make it increasingly difficult for Wildcard Gaming to land their final win against Cloud9. But as you said with Blizzard, I feel like, a nice Ring of Peace from there. This is, again, you could see the map where he just Ring of Peace snuts off, denying him uptime, and he's just not having a good time. And what we were saying about Blizzard with him being humble, I feel like the thing that I definitely know he does really well is the thing that he doesn't seem to make mistakes. He just uses his mobility and his defensive cooldown perfect and on point time and time again, and you can't really fault any of his gameplay for the most part.
Yeah, and I mean that's something pretty crazy to say, because some of these games, they're going 10-15 minutes long. If you're really struggling to fault someone over that period of time, it means they're super well practiced and just insanely good. So that's something that's crazy to be able to say about. I mean, a lot of the guys here, like, you don't really see Miss Reaver, Fire Mage, and Arms Warrior. Any of those three, to be honest, have been poorly represented, I think, at BlizzCon, but they show that when these classes are maxed out, you can play them to their very best against the very best. And Cloud9 right now are still looking to fight back in this series. They pulled back the last game, and they have been getting better and better in this matchup, I feel like. So we're going to have a close finish here. Cubsy caught up in a counterspell, but he's preemptively able to land the Iron Bark to make sure his team is totally fine for that play.
Yeah, and it looks like they're going to turn their attentions onto Mara. And again, kind of taking a note out of Wildcard Gaming's book, the fact that they should have good uptime on a mage if they're just on the bridge and unable to really, kite too far with their blinks on this map, and just kind of being very vulnerable, nowhere to really line of sight as well. We see Wealthy Man trying to blink away, kite Blizzard to the best of his ability, and actually Blizzard looking to swap onto Snuts instead of kind of falling prey to charge in onto the Mage and Druid and just, fall into the crowd control trap. But Cubsy lands that Cyclone anyway onto Blizzard as they get pressure from Maro, but a nice double fit. Will it be enough? Yes, it looks like it's going to be enough for Maro to hold onto that Ice Block. Looney to use that Cocoon and stabilize the situation.
Yep, so good stabilization again from that Life Cocoon, really nicely done. And this is something that, again, we've seen it a few times, but now Cloud9, actually, they have a window, right? Like the Life Cocoon's down for about 30 seconds. They're putting out a ton of damage right now. Counterspell Mara. I actually would have kind of liked to have seen that counterspell save for Looney, since this is the Vendetta push from Cloud9. They had the opportunity to get really aggressive here, but I can also completely understand why they would go for the more defensive side here. Mara with the combustion up right now, so a lot of damage from him, but again, good defense, kiting away from Blizzo, sheeping out Maro, and they are able to stabilize on both sides. This is kind of a case where Cloud9, typically in this series, they have kind of favored defense over offense in a lot of situations, but as they've been finding their footing and getting more aggressive, they have been looking better and better. Now they force the human racial on Looney. He actually tanks the sheep here. Small mistake from Looney, excellently capitalized on by Wealthy Man. How much damage can they find? Cyclones to follow up. No counterspell available for Maro. He's kind of caught out in an awkward situation here, but it looks like he should be able to survive till the Life Cocoon. That Relentless paying off huge for Looney.
Yeah, that relentless playing off, and also the fact that Maro was such a good just diffuser at that moment. He actually kited Snuts on top of Cubsy and landed a beautiful double Dragon's Breath in order to get a free sheep onto Cubsy and reverse the pressure now onto Wealthy Man, who's getting Maledicts, getting lower on HP, but the Iron Bark, as well as that Battle Master comes out. And that's the thing that we've been seeing from Mages time and time again now, the fact that they play with this Battle Master trinket and actually line it up against the Maledicts to kind of survive that situation, because as we know, Maledicts are super powerful against Resto Druid mage teams. So having that Battle Master just used to survive the Maledicts is going to be enough to stop that from really being a kill and, you know, saving an ice block.
Yeah, it's definitely made the classes a little bit more tanky, and we can see another big push here from Wildcard Gaming. They got the Fear into the full Ring of Frost. Cubsy trinkets out of that one to keep Wealthy Man again alive in the situation. So it's these perfect rotations between the two teams, never making overlaps, never underreacting in these games. Now full Polymorph connects over onto Looney. Maro dropping low. Again, he's on his own lonesome. How is he going to survive the situation? Warbanner comes in from Blizzo to deny the DR Polymorph, but they follow it up with a blind. There's no Life Cocoon available right now. Maro drops very low and finally is forced into the Ice Block. And once again, this is perfect for Cloud9. They have a good mana lead. They're looking very strong in terms of cooldowns, and because they forced that Ice Block, suddenly Maro isn't the kind of invulnerable Lord that we've been looking at him to be in this series.
Yeah, this is looking dire for Wildcard Gaming right now, because Cloud9, well, Cloud9's Wealthy Man even has both of his Ice Block, whereas Maro now has none for quite a long time, and it's going to be difficult to survive there, but we've probably seen them survive there anyway the last two games, so they could pull it off, but can they pull off a win condition whilst they're so behind at forcing defensive cooldowns? Right now, Maro's still getting trucked down, and Cloud9 adopting this strategy just seems to be very difficult for Wildcard Gaming to survive. So now they turn their attentions onto Snuts, trying to get pressure onto him with Sheeps onto Wealthy Man. Snuts still has that evasion though, no Cloak of Shadows, but so he should be okay for now, but at the same time still taking a lot of pressure.
Yeah, let's see what he can get done here. This is big damage over onto Snuts. It's kind of awkward because for Wildcard Gaming, as you were saying at the start, like, this is the map where if Blizzo is going to have good uptime on Wealthy Man, this would be the place to do it. But because they haven't forced any Ice Blocks, they feel like they can't invest the time into it. Instead, they're going after Snuts. Maybe they can land a kill on him. He is down a couple of cooldowns. So we see the Iron Bark coming in from Cubsy to keep Snuts in the fight as he was Ring of Peace off the side there. But Maro is definitely the most exposed target. That's a beautiful counterspell coming in from Wealthy Man as they do look to get this kill on Maro. He doesn't have his Ice Block. Smoke Bomb comes in. Temporal Shield. Last line of defense. The Life Cocoon is available if they can just reconnect to each other. Looney actually holding onto that cooldown, but at 24% dampening, this is a scary time to be holding cooldowns.
Yeah, it is very scary, and he may have to use that Cocoon anyway, because Snuts and Wealthy Man are getting a ton of pressure on the Maro, and without his own defensive cooldowns, he could be in trouble. Nice Cocoon connect in there during that kidney shot onto Maro. It's going to recover some HP, but at the same time, Cloud9 just have a ton of pressure on the Maro, and they're connecting well. And like you said, Adrian, I feel like it's a mistake maybe to not be on Wealthy Man right now and leave him free casting, because Maro just keeps getting chunked and chunked right now. The Warbanner now comes out during this blind go onto Looney. He gets put into a kidney sheep though. Maro in a lot of trouble. His last line of defense being that temporal shield, but it's gonna fade. And Wealthy Man, nice pummel coming out from Blizzo onto Wealthy Man, keeping Looney free from a sheep and able to get some heals out onto Maro.
Yeah, I mean, there was a slight overlap there by Cloud9. The kidney shot into the sheep. If they just had a little bit more time between those, or if they'd even kidney Maro, maybe they would have won the game off of that play. But I mean, you can't blame them just dumping any CC onto Looney. They're so close to winning this game, and they're playing perfectly into the win condition we saw in game 3. Looney is struggling so much to deal with the damage that he's almost burnt through his entire mana pool. But in the meantime, Wildcard Gaming look for counter pressure. They are back on Wealthy Man. His Battle Master falls, dropping incredibly low here. Does have access to a second Ice Block, but he's got to survive that hypothermia first, and this is where Blizzo shines. 33% dampening, the perfect map for him to have uptime. There's a reason Wildcard Gaming chose this, and I think we're in for another tight finish here.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight finish indeed. Both healers relatively low on mana. Wealthy Man actually so low right now, just about struggling to live. He has that second Ice Block, but hypothermia is still up, I believe. A nice heal just in the nick of time, and he barely escapes with his life. That was so close. Wildcard Gaming was so close to taking that away from man. They might be able to still. He does have that second Ice Block though, as long as he doesn't greed it too much. Getting caught into execute range, and there's that second Ice Block.
Yeah, it's so scary for both teams. Maro doesn't have his Ice Block, but it is coming up so soon. 20 seconds on that. Looney has no mana. Cubsy has no mana. Both sides really struggling. Both mages could fall at any point. Snuts is basically soloing Maro off camera right now, but the attention very much on Wealthy Man as Blizzo finally has found his footing in this game. He has full uptime. He's so happy to be connecting to Wealthy Man right now, but the Druid Mage combo, they're doing an excellent job of kiting Blizzo. The War Banner preemptively on the sheep. Blizzo knows that he is so close to this kill. He gets the charge, the Ring of Frost. Every single thing is working in favor of Wildcard Gaming here. Are they going to be able to find the kill? Full fear onto Cubsy. Does have the mana to keep them alive, but there's no counterspell for a second. It looks like Cubsy may be able to connect a couple of heroes. Maro also dropping super low here. This is a really scary situation for both sides.
Yeah, it is scary. I mean, I thought Wealthman was surely going to go down, but now, actually, a blind was used onto Blizzard, but it was only half a defensive blind. He could have used that blind onto Looney without any War Banner, so I feel like they missed out on a kill opportunity there. They could have blind Looney into a sap without War Banner once again, and maybe got a kill, but they're choosing to play this defensively. Cloud9 know if they can just survive the onslaught of Blinzo, they can eventually win this match. But now Maro is the one with the Ice Block. Wealthy Man still has none at his disposal. And I like the kite path Wealthy Man's doing. He knows that the bridge is kind of just a death zone against Blizzo. So choosing to run downstairs and create distance between him and Blizzo is one of the reasons why he's still alive.
Yeah, he's been playing it really, really well. But of course, Wildcard Gaming are pretty happy with that as well, because it means Maro can, whenever he needs to, just line of sight Wealthy Man. I think Wealthy Man, this is the option he has to go for since he has no ice blocks. So no fault on him. But Maro now starting to take a lot of damage forced into that ice block. This is such a close game. Both sides, you feel like, could have died 5 times over in this one. 50% dampening. Both mages now without ice blocks. Maro comes out the block slightly early, but I think he needs to kind of get counter pressure onto Wealthy Man here. Cubsy has no mana left. Both sides, mages are in so much trouble. Cauterize is the advantage for the Fire Mage, but Wealthy Man has more health in this situation as Life Cocoon once again comes through, but it's going to do nothing at 50% healing reduction.
Yeah, and the Rallying Cry and the Emblem's going to fall off onto Maro, and there's Maledicts flying at his way. He's going to be in so much trouble. The Cauterize is his only last line of defense right now. Cocoon still not going to be ready for quite some time. At the same time, Wealthy Man caught into a storm of Blizzo on the aggressive in the avatar, trying to chunk him down as much as possible, but they get the Cauterize from Maro. Surely he's going to go down. He has nothing left to survive. Wealthy Man super low on HP as well. Both mages sensing blood in the water. Wealthy Man is the first to go down, and Maro is so low on HP. He could still just go down right now. Snuts is all over him, but it looks like he might be able to stabilize. Actually, no, there's the full blind on Taludi. There's no War Banner for this. He trinkets out of his stun. No sheeps to follow up. He might be able to take down Maro, and he actually does. We are now in a 2v2 of Cloud9 versus Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible stuff, this game. This game, I remember it super well just because it was so close. It looked like Wildcard Gaming were completely lost. Then they forced 2 ice blocks in quick succession. Then Cloud9 fight back, but ultimately we go down to a 2v2 cross-kill situation in Game 4 between Wildcard Gaming and Cloud9. Now let's see who comes out on top in this one. We're going to have Looney with the Vendetta rolling on him right now. He's low on mana. He's struggling in this game. Life Cocoon is up, but again, we're at 60% healing reduction already. Blizzo is the person that has to save the day with the intimidating shout. He needs to be very careful, though, because Cubsy upstairs, he can sit down for drinks. He's already done that once. He's up to 60% healing reduction, but also he could potentially look for reses. This is not a good situation for Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, this is not a good situation at all. Looney's going to struggle healing for the rest of the game because of how high dampening it is. So it'll be a question of trying to save those cooldowns, those defensive cooldowns with good kiting. Looney trying to get a drink right there, but Snuts sensing that just knows he needs to stop him. But again, this is going to be a great map for Looney to kite due to the bridge axis just being able to teleport up and down and kind of reduce a lot of pressure from Snuts. But at the same time, this is such a difficult matchup for Blizzo to get a kill against a good Resto Druid such as Cubsy and a Rogue tunneling you down, putting every kidney shot into you, knowing you have the mana lead. I mean, I feel like Cloud9 should be favored in this matchup, in this situation.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that, and I feel like you, as a fine 2v2 connoisseur yourself, Joefernandes, are very comfortable in like how some of these matchups should go. And when you've got people of the caliber of Snuts and Cubsy on the side looking for drinks, just kiting away, you can already start to see it. Blizzo's not going to have a fun time in this 2v2.
Yeah, and speaking of 2v2 connoisseurs, Cubsy is actually a monster in
Very
2v2,
true.
and he's also got that feral affinity, so he's gonna be able to just kind of, play with Looney and Blizzo as much as possible. And you can see that already happening, putting Looney into a cyclone. Ironbark onto Snuts, they're trying to diffuse the pressure from Blizzo. And I mean, now Cubsy's actually caught into a full fit. It actually breaks them. I'm not sure what happened there, but a nice stun coming out from Looney, and Blizzo is the one that needs to be restabilized.
Yeah, both sides. It's honestly, Wildcard Game is playing this really, really well. Like, Looney hasn't had the mana advantage, but they're starting to burn down Cubsy. 70% healing reduction for both sides. Those healers are going to become all but useless very, very soon in this game. A full blind comes through, but that's going to be the die by the sword from Blizzo. Now that it expires, though, that's a full kidney shot. 6 seconds of stun for Blizzo to deal with. This is not looking good.
Yeah, it's not looking good. He still has a bit of that vendetta damage, which is exactly what's happened. And now gets caught into a bash cyclone. That leap onto Cubsy, I have to say, was a slight mistake just because of the fact that he had the bash. So now Looney can't get any healing, but I'm not sure if it's going to matter anyway. Blizzo will surely get put into a kidney shot soon. And if Snuts has enough pressure, it could actually take him down. At the same time, Snuts doesn't have the evasion, but Cubsy actually has quite a bit of mana to work with, as well as the Ironbark now coming up. Looney just about getting a cocoon in the nick of time, but as you can see, it's done absolutely nothing in 75% dampening.
Yeah, Blizz actually triggered at the last second of that kidney shot to reverse or to reflect the cyclone on Cubsy. So that was kind of like a nice little play, but equally now he doesn't have the trinket available for the next stun. And I mean, he's just got no health left. Looney has no mana left. This is looking like it's probably going to be a tied series. We're going to game 5. Most likely. That was a beautiful ring of peace, though, by Looney to keep Snuts away. But that's a full cyclone, and that's a Battle Master on Blizzo, which I believe is going to be falling off in a second here.
Yeah, it falls off, and he actually gets the rallying cry.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe I'm a bit behind.
He has the rallying cry and then the battle master, so it's like a chain of fake health. That was fake news health on Blizzard there at the end.
Fake.
There we go. Well, we're up to game 5 now. Cloud9 versus Wildcard Gaming, and yeah, I guess that this series was kind of always bound for this game.
Yeah, this is completely crazy that it's come to a game 5 after Wildcard Gaming were 2-0 up against Cloud9, who are now looking to reverse sweep and advance and to play into Method. And this has been just down to the wire. I mean, literally went into a 2v2 last game when Wealthy Man was the first one to go down, and then Cloud9 were able to win that 2v2. So well played from both teams, playing extraordinarily well. And we already see early aggression coming out onto Wealthy Man with Maro popping that combustion.
Yeah, so this is a really, really nice start here from Maro, trying to get like aggressive early. And I think after that last game, they've got to be feeling so hard done, right? Like they actually landed the kill first, but Snuts was able to sneak that blind and get the kill onto Maro to equalize it and obviously win the 2v2. So Wildcard Gaming, at this point, you've got to start like having those kinds of thoughts for yourself here, where it's like, you know, we came so close. We were 2-0 up in this series. Now it's tied 2-2. Cloud9 getting better and better, but still every single game is so close between the two sides. Cubsy used his trinket early. Now Maro looking to get aggressive once again. Cubsy actually goes for a little re-stealth there. There's the Dragon's Breath. Is there any follow-up though? It doesn't look like it, though a nice Ring of Peace comes in, and that's going to be a Ring of Peace into potentially a double Ring of Frost, but they're unable to find it. Sheep now snagged though. Wealthy Man still on the back foot as Wildcard Gaming look to push their advantage here in game 5.
Yeah, and Wealthy Man getting chopped up right there. The Ironbark did come out from Cubsy, but like I said, nice sheeps and crowd control coming in onto Cubsy. And Wealthy Man just trying to do as best as he can to kite and survive. And he's able to save those ice blocks, which is really good. You don't want to be losing out on those ice blocks right away early on. And I like to see that Cloud9, they're going for Mara. So it's kind of like both melee are just going for the mages. And I actually think that this is a good map for Wildcard Gaming as well to keep up on the mage. But it just feels like Cloud9 with their new strategy and momentum, as well as making these offensive plays, are looking very good now in this matchup. Yeah,
I mean, they're just getting better and better. And I feel like this has happened time and time again, where I remember even like changed my mind against Wildcard Gaming the first time we saw this Warrior Mage. Wildcard Gaming went 2 up. And then it just kind of fell apart from there. Like these Rogue Mage Druids do seem to adapt to the playstyle of Wildcard Gaming. And yes, the Greater Pyroblast was a bit of a curveball, but it seems like Cloud9 are getting better at adapting to that. Still, to the point, though, where the games are super entertaining and closely fought between the two sides. And once again, we can see big offense coming in from Wildcard Gaming. That's the leg sweep. It's a sheep to follow it up. Wealthy Man's low on health. Are they going to be able to force the ice block? Blizzo has uptime. The executes may well come in here. I can't believe Wealthy Man didn't ice block. He said execute. Surely ice blocks now. Super low. The Pyroblast coming in. That was incredible. From someone that died before blocking game one, that was incredibly brave from Wealthy Man. He does end up using the ice block in the end, but I mean, you gotta really give it to the guy for holding on and understanding how much damage he was going to take there. That was incredibly bold play from the Cloud9 mage.
That was bold play indeed. And you definitely see why this team is such a defensive brick wall, because in situations where most people would just simply use that ice block, Cloud9 are able to buy themselves some time to maybe hold on to it, but they do overlap it with the Iron Bark. Cubsy was, trying to use that Iron Bark and maybe even hold on to it further, but Wealthy Man going to use that ice block, and now Cubsy resets his mana to full. Looney still having a very good mana lead, but Maro sneaks in a nice Dragon's Breath into a full sheep in a sneaky spot where he couldn't get counterspelled. So well played from Maro there, forcing out the Trinket Iron Bar coming out from Cubsy, which means that Blizzo could have a full fear on Cubsy, and they could potentially get the second ice block from Wealthy Man if they're able to play well offensively.
Yeah, these are one of the map choices there from Wildcard Gaming. Maro obviously very, very confident playing it, and you can use the fences, you can use all kinds of different spots, and I think this is why this is one of the most fun maps for me, at least right now. It is a small map, which means you can have fast-paced games, but there's also lots of little nuances and spots that you can go as a healer, and then it's up to the DPS to really exploit that. So very nicely done there by Wildcard Gaming. They're able to snag a trinket off of that play, and now they're in a great situation. There's no trinket on Cubsy, there's only one ice block left on Wealthy Man, and since dampening hasn't even started yet, and you think about how explosive the game was where Wealthy managed to trade out both ice blocks on blades, this is looking really good for them. If they can get that second ice block down before dampening, you can see they're going for it. Counter spells coming out aggressively onto Cubsy. Now they're looking for the Ring of Frost play. This could be big. Blizzo taking damage, but Wealthy Man's the person I'm scared for.
Yeah, he is indeed. A nicely timed Temporal Shield, though, during this Ring of Frost into a half fear, though, onto Cubsy. That's not gonna be the move because of that Dragon's Breath to fear us off, but they land a leg sweep as well. They could still get that second ice block right now, and there it is once again, forcing that second ice block. Well played from Looney there, knowing that they could still ride on momentum. He just came in from his pillar, just rolled out, got that leg sweep onto Cubsy, and now they have forced that all-important second ice block onto Wealthy Man, getting into dampening. This is looking incredibly good for Wildcard Gaming.
Yeah, it's kind of a perfect situation there for Wildcard Gaming. They are looking fantastic. Dampening, they actually want dampening to start right now because there's no real cooldowns on Cloud9. This is perfect for them. They can maybe get this kill. They've still got him low. This counterspell, this could be it for Wildcard Gaming. Defensive blind has to come in from Snuts. They know they're up on the ropes right now. This is game 5 between the two teams. Winner of this does go through to the upper finals to play against Method Black, and so far Wildcard Gaming has been completely dominant. They forced both ice blocks, they forced the blind defensively. Cubsy's trinket is the last line of defense here, but if they can burn through that and then get a good go of the intimidating shout, they could well win this game super early on.
Yeah, they could do. I mean, even though it's going to take 2 minutes for the concept, so they could even force it with the fear and then have the next fear. But I know that they would try and force it in some other way if they can. And yeah, like you said, this is looking very good. I would like to commend Snuts on that defensive blind. Even though we said sometimes they use it too defensively, I felt like at that point in time, it was definitely needed for Cloud9 to survive. So well played by Snuts there, making sure that Blizzo is unable to kill Wealthy Man, who, he seems to still be riding on, and Snuts, though, still trying to get kill potentials onto Blizzo. Nice counterspell onto Looney as well, dropping Blizzo very low on HP, forcing out that avatar defensively, as well as the War Banner and Life Cocoon. So excellent offensive maneuver there coming out from Cloud9.
Yeah, that was one of the few times I think we've seen Blizzo get caught out in battle stance, but that kidney shot almost blew him up. It forced out the Safeguard Trinket, which is a 3-minute defensive, so huge thing for them to be forcing out. And now they're feeling really confident. They're going for the Smoke Bomb. This is a big play. There was no counterspell available for that Cyclone on Maro, so no peels. Blizzo's kind of relying on himself here as we see the intimidating shout, looking to reverse the pressure on Cubsy. Looney follows up, leg sweep. This is a scary situation for Cloud9 also. This is what we've been waiting for. The Cubsy needs to Trinket. He trinkets out of the in-cap eventually there, but it was definitely one of those situations where if he'd greeded that trinket a little bit longer, you get into execute range and you struggle to keep up. There was no Iron Bark available, so really good trinket there by Cubsy, but now there is that window, 30 seconds. We see the counterspell landing in from Maru. He's pushing for the kill. He knows that his team are so close to taking this game 5 and advancing through in the tournament, but is it going to be enough? Blizzo also has been an exposed weakness a couple of times in this game, as once again, we're looking for a very close finish between the two sides.
Yeah, both teams looking to be the better aggressors right now, with Blizzo trying to get a kill onto Wealthy Man, whilst Cloud9 are also trying to get a kill onto Blizzo. But it looks like Wealthy Man is actually going to get that cold snap back, and it will have that ice block back soon. But the question is if they're able to force that cold snap before the second ice block, because that will be it could be a huge deciding factor to who wins this game.
Yeah, it certainly could be. The cold snap is back up, but obviously, as you say, they want to hold on to the ice block, but they can't. They have to use the cold snap. I think they have to use the ice block as well. Yes, this is the best case scenario for Wildcard Gaming. As you said, Cloud9 were about 30 seconds away from having 2 ice blocks up, but because of that fantastic push, they're able to force both of those out by forcing the cold snap first. So really, really perfect for Wildcard Gaming there. Now there's no ice blocks available for Wealthy Man for about 4 minutes in this game. Looney still has good mana, although not tops off, so Cloud9 will still take that as a victory as Dampening continues to ramp up. We've seen Looney struggle on mana, and that's basically the only win condition that Cloud9 are playing for at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's really all they've got going for. Blizzard still has that die by the sword, and Looney has that cocoon as well, so they can easily diffuse this pressure right now. But instead, Looney using a disarm on Snuts during that kidney. Well played by him to keep him alive and healthy. And now there's the full fill on the Cubsy. He's going to have that trinket real soon, though. Can they get the pressure they need? It looks like they won't because of a well-timed temporal shield by Wealthy Man. So excellent defensive play from Cloud9 there to survive what could be a very devastating offensive go.
Yeah, and we're going to see good Cyclones coming out from Cubsy as well there, so really nicely done. Now the Vendetta is committed by Snuts. He wants to get aggressive onto Blizzo. He knows that his team is struggling for defensive, so he just needs to keep the damage going. And as we said, the way they win this game is by running Looney out of mana, and we're at 30% dampening. He's already struggling, so this is actually still looking really, really good, I would say, for Cloud9, barring the fact that Wildcard Gaming could kind of end the game at any point. But Blizzo is dropping low. Die by the Sword is available, but they're trying not to use it. Playmaker Snuts once again with the step kick. The Vortex comes in as well. Blizzo is incredibly low on health, and there's no life cocoon. I can't believe they're holding on. Now a full blind connects. Blizzo's still very low. Huge heals coming in from the Jade statue. I do believe that's the only thing that can surely be keeping him alive, but the Die by the Sword does have to get traded out, and now the next Vendetta could well be Nights Out here for Wildcard Gaming.
It could easily be Nights Out, and it might be even now. The smoke bomb actually connecting, forcing Looney to use that cocoon in order to keep Blizzo stabilized. So the next Vendetta could be devastating for Wildcard Gaming. This game has been back and forth so many times. Even Wealthy Man is going to have nearly 2 minutes for his next ice block, and Mara actually used his ice block offensively. So I wonder if that will make Cloud9 think about if they should keep tunneling Blizzo or swap their pressure onto Marrow. I guess we'll be finding out as they put a kidney onto Blizzo, trying to reverse the pressure. Snuts actually using that Cloak of Shadows, a nice trade for the combustion of Marrow to make sure he doesn't drop too low.
Yeah, it's a really, I think that was a pretty reasonable trade there. Obviously, combustion is such a scary cooldown, and again, like for Cubsy, he's just got to keep his mage in the fight at this point, keep his rogue in the fight. If he can keep these guys aggressive for a little bit longer, they are getting pretty close to the kill. I'd say it's a couple of minutes out here if they can stay aggressive. Cubsy using his trinket here, the Iron Bark. Snuts does still have evasion. He is the target of choice, which, I mean, that speaks to how well Wealthy Man's been kiting in this game. He just can't be killed, even though he has no ice blocks. Blizzo now dropping incredibly low. Life Cocoon has to come out from him. It's just like, it's so scary for both sides. There's nothing left for Blizzo. Snuts has limited cooldowns remaining, and both healers are low on mana. 40% healing reduction on either side, and again, it's too close to cool, but it looks like Blizzo is the one chasing down Snuts. He does have the evasion. He's going to have to pop it, and now he is truly out of cooldowns, and with that Stormbolt, that's going to be a reversal with the kidney shot. Trinket comes in. Both sides really struggling as the melees just go at each other. They have no other option.
Yeah, Mara actually having to sheep's nuts there, but in desperation just for Blizzard to survive right now, because he is looking like he is going to go down at any point right now. Cubsy now with the last line of defense, using that Ironbark onto Snuts, but they blind up Looney as well. If they can get the sap off, they could maybe take him down. They land the sap. Blizzard will surely go down, but they actually broke the sap though onto Looney, and he gets the life cocoon off onto Blizzard right now. They're looking to reverse pressure back onto Snuts right now as well. The combustion comes out from Mara. Nice leg sweep coming out from Cubsy as well. Now Snuts is the one that's super low on HP. Defensive kidney shot, but he goes down. I can't believe how that game ended. Cloud9 were actually surely going to win the match, but then they broke the sap and Wildcard gaming with an excellent offensive setup afterwards, ensures their road to victory, winning this best of 5 and moving on in this upper bracket.
And you got to say too, like game 4 was a cross kill. That was an incredibly close game as well. I actually think maybe we can go back and watch it. I'm pretty sure what happened there is Blizzo, whether it was good fortune or insane gameplay, he charged through Looney during that, and like some sort of cleave, like an Ice Nova or something, broke the sap. So that is really unfortunate there for Wealthy Man. We can see the final moments here as they get the kill, but do you want to go back and see that? Because I don't know, that was so close.
I want to go back to that. I think he was near him, like, and I think they just thought that they would kill Looney, but we can go back. What time was it?
Should we go to, let's see, I don't want to go too far. I think it was around about here.
He went blinds back.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Okay, right. Let's go to 105.22 because that's where blind comes back up.
Okay, I'm there.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so let's see what actually happens here. Blizzo is really, really low, and I mean, both sides have nothing, right? So this game could easily go either way. This is how close this series has been. There's the blind. Spell Reflect comes through for a Frostbolt. There's the sap. Yeah, he's close. Oh, that's a feels bad, man.
Ice Nova. They like thought, they actually would have killed. Like, he was in a full sap.
Yep. That feels so bad. And bear in mind, like, the implications this has on the tournament, right? Like, Cloud9 versus Meta Black never happened in this tournament, and it would have happened if they won that.
I was saying exactly, yeah. And it came down to one mistake.
Yeah.
Like, that's unbelievable.
I don't know what it's like to have one mistake in a game 5 of a series, like it reflected something or whatever. Feels really bad. It seems Warriors are prone to forcing them as well.
Yeah.
Oh well. Goodness gracious. Well, there you go. Wildcard Gaming win the series